A good evening to all of you hockey fans. And what is going on? It is Neil Villapiano, the host of the Devil's State of Mind podcast, alongside my good buddy and partner, Kyle Manifold. And we welcome you to another edition of Live Watch Along right here on the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel. And tonight, we have an Eastern Conference showdown between the Florida Panthers in the second game of a back-to-back, traveling to New Jersey to take on the somewhat new-looked New Jersey Devils after just yesterday, about a little more than 24 hours ago, relieved Lindy Ruff of his duties as head coach. Travis Green, the former head coach of the Vancouver Canucks and associate head coach up until this point for the Devils, will be the interim head coach for the rest of the year. So this will be the first time since 2019 that the Devils will have someone other than Lindy Ruff behind the bench, and this is going to be a good one. The New Jersey Devils sit 8 points out of both the third place in the Metro and also the second wild card spot, while the Florida Panthers are arguably the best team in the NHL right now, looking to finish their road trips successfully with a perfect 3-0 record. This should be a really, really interesting one tonight. Kyle, it's also very interesting because we are just a few days away from the NHL trade deadline, and we've already had a couple of moves, including just a couple of minutes ago, Anthony Mantha being dealt to the Vegas Golden Knights for a couple of mid-round picks. But other than all of that going on, how are you doing on this fine evening?
Stressed. I just want something to be done and over with for, Flames fans and Noah Hannafin. I think we talked beforehand and said that I would imagine that a deal probably gets done either tonight or tomorrow, but I mean, it's going to be one of those kind of weeks now with a couple days to go, and you're just kind of refreshing. Right. You just want to see what's new, right? Do you think it's the last trade that we see tonight with Anthony Mantha, or what do you think?
You and I talked about it before jumping on here tonight. I think Noah Hannafin deal gets done tonight personally. And I think that there is a potential that maybe Jay Gensel might be on the move from Pittsburgh tonight as well. I would say those are the two likely moves that could happen. But obviously with the trade deadline, there are other moves that can happen left and right as well. And I see below that Kyle brought up the graphic for the most recent trade, again, that happened just before we jumped on. Anthony Mantha going to the Vegas Golden Knights in exchange for a 2024 second and 2024 fourth. And also, the Capitals are retaining 50% of Mantha's salary. And I think this was a guy that I felt like had been in talks about being traded for a while now. And now it's a two-way forward that comes in a nice bottom six piece for the Golden Knights, using some of that LTIR money with Mark Stone out for the foreseeable future. And we'll see if they're still maybe potentially in a move to acquire someone like a Jake Gensel or somebody else to kind of complement some scoring here and some offense while Mark Stone is out until probably sometime during the playoffs. We'll see.
He is questionable for playoffs.
Questionable as well, so he might be out.
That's why they do this. Yes.
Right. And look,
But in
Vegas
terms
is
of
coming off.
tonight,
I was going to say really quickly, Vegas is
yeah,
coming off a bad loss last night, 5-2
yes,
to the Columbus Blue Jackets, where Alex Nylander, not William Nylander, but his brother Alex with a hat trick in, I believe, his third or fourth game with Columbus after being traded.
just lit the lamp
So, it was crazy.
with his third or fourth team or
Of
whatever
course.
many it's been.
Why not? Why
Oh
not?
man, let's see what everyone else is going on tonight. A super big Devils fan coming in here.
Nice.
Connor is correct that it is the usual suspects for tonight, and Sean has also
Connor, we're
mentioned.
going to talk about some Canucks tonight as well.
Oh, of
There's some
course.
things that need to be talked about.
Totally. That time of year, again, where you're online, don't want to miss much. In terms of tonight's game, Neil, you do have Stolarz going up against Akira Schmidt. How do we feel about the goalie matchup?
For Stolarz, he's from New Jersey, not too far from Newark. Grew up in Chatham, New Jersey. So, an opportunity tonight to play against his hometown team. Maybe he's got some family in the stands. Who knows? I get it why the Panthers are going with their backup. Akira Schmidt, he hasn't really gotten a lot of starting opportunities of late since being called up after Vitek Vanacek went down with an injury. Nico Dawes has played 11 of the last 12 games for the Devils. And so they're giving Schmidt an opportunity who looked pretty decent in his relief appearances in the last two times for Nico Dawes. So we'll see what he can do tonight. We'll see if he can, maybe get back to some of that form that we saw in the playoffs last year and just try to give some stability tonight in what is going to be a very tough week for New Jersey. You got Florida tonight, you have the St. Louis Blues at home on Thursday, and then you wrap up this week with a home afternoon game on Saturday against Carolina. So we'll see how Travis Green does in his first week being in charge of the Devils. But yeah, the goaltending matchup, about what you expect.
For sure. I mean, you have to deal with Florida's offensive weapons first, right? First and foremost. So Stolarz feels like he could have another decent night tonight, considering how this team has performed in the last couple of games, like you mentioned already, right? Yep. Daniel checking in here also too. Daniel, what's going on here? Real Deal Prime, Florida, yep.
Go with the money line. And by the way, if you're going to bet on the Florida money line tonight, make sure to sign up with DraftKings. Use our promo code THPN. Bet $5, you get $200 in free bets instantly. So make sure to use our promo code THPN when you sign up for DraftKings, the official sports betting partner of THPN.
I can't point, but down there. There we go.
You're pointing at your own name.
Thank you. Hopefully, no cursing tonight from Neil.
I don't. I think we're done. I think we're beyond. I think we're done with that, especially with Lindy Ruff being gone. That some changes have been made. So we'll see. We'll see how this one goes tonight.
Yep, Chandler checking in, saying evening, guys. What's going on?
Chandler, good to see you as always.
Andrew back as well too.
Of course,
absolutely. Jared's at the Bruins game tonight against the Oilers, who are in town, and like we mentioned beforehand, before we jumped on, is that the Devils could be interested in Linus Ullmark, depending on that package, or if he's a rental. What are your thoughts on potentially Linus Ullmark?
I think Ullmark becomes more of the Devils' target if they can't get a deal done with Markstrom. And I think that it's possible that Ullmark gets moved. Maybe not now. Maybe at in the offseason, we'll see. I would not be opposed to acquiring Ullmark either. He's been pretty good in Boston the last couple of years. I think he still has another couple of decent years left. But we'll see. Let's focus on tonight, Kyle, because the puck has dropped in New Jersey. So we are officially underway in this one between the Florida Panthers and the New Jersey Devils. So again, this will be the first game without Lindy Ruff after, again, if you're just tuning in, was fired yesterday after the Devils' difficult and downright disappointing West Coast road trip. As now Jesper Bratt comes in with an opportunity and a good stick poke there from Montour, as Bratt nearly was able to get around him for a golden opportunity right away. But yeah, I mean, you go 1-2-0 on that West Coast road trip. You have that really, really bad loss against Anaheim on Friday, and then you get shellacked by the LA Kings on Sunday afternoon, and that really ultimately led to the final nail in the coffin for Lindy Ruff. So now we'll see what Travis Green can do in these final 21 games for the Devils.
Speaking of Lindy Ruff, Andrew asked, now that Ruff is off the coaching table, who would you like to see be the next full-time head coach going into next season?
Well, it is obviously a bit early because we don't know who may get tossed At the end of the year, there might be some changes. I would, if Mike Sullivan gets fired from Pittsburgh, which some people are indicating that might be a possibility if the Penguins do indeed miss the playoffs, and they have looked pretty bad of late. That honestly, with the Pittsburgh connection, Tom Fitzgerald was the assistant GM under Ray Shero for many years in Pittsburgh. Mike Sullivan was a part of that organization for quite some time. That I think that would be a really good hire because he's a championship coach that very well could get the true best out of this team to take them a step forward in their climb to being a Stanley Cup winner. Craig Berube is another guy that I think could very well be on the list. I think he's certainly on my list. I think depending on how Travis Green does in these final 21 games, he certainly then becomes an option. But maybe the Devils go a completely different route. Who knows? Kevin Dineen, the Devils minor league coach, he's been a pretty well-respected coach for a while now, has had a lot of success down in Utica, and has had some coaching experience in the NHL. I think, honestly, I'd rather go down the route of a veteran championship coach. So maybe if a Mike Sullivan or Craig Berube is your top guy, then I would say go after them. That's the way that I would look at it.
Regardless, I think you wait till the offseason.
Correct.
That's just
Correct.
me. Yeah.
And I will say really quickly here, by the way, with the Devils, is that I don't expect the Devils to make a rash decision, even if they make the playoffs. I don't think necessarily you're going to look at it and say that Travis Green automatically then becomes the next head coach of this team. It's very possible that they could still look for a massive upgrade anyway. It all just depends on, certain factors, but I don't think any decision is going to be made anytime soon.
Bit of breaking news that RJ mentioned in the comments here. Minnesota did just sign Zach Bogosian to a 2-year deal.
I'm going to interrupt you, Kyle, because Nick Cousins just scored for the Panthers on a backhand, and the Panthers strike first less than 3 minutes in. It's 1-0 Florida.
Is that their first shot on goal?
Probably, I think.
Oh, no.
So for the 46th time this season, the New Jersey Devils give up the game's first goal.
Hey, Angus.
Hey, what's going on?
Good timing.
Good to see you, my friend. Yeah, thanks for tuning in as always. Timing.
That's so funny. Oh, my goodness. Well, I was going to say predictions tonight, considering now it's already a 1-0 lead for the Panthers. Goza has 4-3 Devils in overtime tonight.
Interesting.
Yeah. Also, I wanted to bring this up for you, Neil, here. Mad Mike Sports. Hey there, Neil. What's up? Just saw you join Jersey Sporting News. Wouldn't be opposed to Ullmark or Markstrom.
Wouldn't be opposed to either one. Would be interesting to see what type of deal you would have to make to acquire a guy like Ullmark. Maybe not as much as Markstrom might, but who knows? He would be more of a guy that I think you would look at and say, if the Markstrom opportunity is just dead and you feel that you are much closer to getting an Ullmark deal done, then I think you pulled the trigger on that. I also do think you got to once again look at Jussi Saros and see really where that's, where that ends up being, maybe not just like at the deadline, but in the offseason as well if Nashville doesn't try to keep him long-term.
Interesting. Little tidbit here coming out of Pittsburgh. Expect Riley Smith trade chatter to pick up very soon as well. Danelle also checked in. Colorado, yeah, I was just going to say, actually, Colorado would feel like a good fit for Smith. Danelle checking in too. Danelle, what's going on? Good to have you back.
Guys. Thank you.
Yeah, so Connor checking in too as well. And then Danelle actually does ask, when Lindy Ruff was fired, more happy or surprised? I mean, at the timing maybe.
Didn't feel much, if I'm being honest with you.
There was no feelings.
Well, I said it before. I said it on my most recent episode of the Devil's State of Mind podcast. Just posted it this morning. Really, he was only, he was a big problem, but he wasn't the only issue. Tom Fitzgerald, the GM of the Devils, failed in terms of getting a goaltender. I think they failed in not getting another veteran defenseman or two to not force guys like Luke Hughes and Simone Nemitz, who's not even playing tonight. He's a healthy scratch, and not forcing to play just so heavy minutes. I think that really caused some issues as well.
Sure.
But I think it was the right thing to do. I just think it happened too late. That's the way I look at it.
That it feels like it was a little late. It could have been done maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and your season could be a little different,
Should have
right?
been
Looking
done
at
maybe
tonight.
like a month ago, if I'm being honest.
Sure. Yeah. No, it was feels like a little bit too late for that one. As
Right.
Goes is trying to collect his 200th jersey here. But yeah, tough overall though. Like just back to the game, that's a tough start for Schmidt. I think that was his second or third shot into the game. It was a decent backhand by Nick Cousins, and you can't blame Lindy for that.
Yeah, real deal prime. You're right. Can't blame Lindy for that one. By the way, Nick Cousins, just his fourth goal of the entire season. Matthew Tkachuk with the lone assist on that one, as that came at the 2:57 mark of the first.
Yay!
Same stuff, different coach. Well, I mean, look, you have not the only thing that changed was that you just have a different guy who's in charge of the team. It's not like you got rid of the entire coaching staff and put in new guys. Devils are going to the penalty kill as Luke Hughes takes a penalty here a little less than 5 minutes in. So Florida now has a chance to quickly double the lead here early in this one. So it already feels very much like this game is slipping away from New Jersey before they can even really get their feet going.
It's okay. We're watching Curtis McDermott now.
Yes.
You know, you got to be excited for him.
I mean, I'm excited if he starts like rocking people and fighting. I'm fine with that. Very fine.
I mean, that's kind of why you got him, right? Like, not in terms of fighting, but to give that physicality, right? And Mad Mike goes on by saying should have been done again, like the Lindy rough firing should have done mid-February. Yeah, like regardless, it should have been done earlier, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the whole thing. And Real Deal Prime says this could get ugly.
Yes.
Get ugly.
Very well could. Very well could.
Yes.
I think probably what I'm disappointed with just like early on in this game is just that, like, you know, I heard Travis Green speak to the media before after morning skate, and he was saying how he wants his team to show more energy and more, you know, passion. And it's like the same stuff has just happened and nothing changed. Like in the early goings here, it's like I don't see a difference.
So if you were head coach right now, we talked about it before we jumped on with Alexander Holtz, us finding out like he's on the fourth line. What's an ideal line for you that you'd like to see Alexander Holtz on in order to try and get something going out of him?
Great question. Great question, Kyle. The ideal line for me would be you have Jack Hughes centering. You have Jack Hughes at center and then Toffoli on his left and then Holtz on his right. That's the way that I would go about it, because I think that line could be very, very, very dangerous if everybody's just, you know, playing at the highest point of their game. I think also if you could do a line of Timo Meier, Jesper Bratt, and Nico Hischier, I think that would create a lot of offense as well. That's the top six that I've been wanting to see since the beginning of the year, and I haven't seen it yet, and I don't really know why they've never even consider with the amount of different line combinations that Lindy Ruff has made this year. I'm very surprised that that's never even been an option, or they've never made it an option.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's good for Toffoli because he can play both sides, right? He's a guy you can stick on either wing, and, you know, it doesn't really matter where you put him. So that feels like, you know, you need some spark, and, you know, maybe that's something that comes.
And the Panthers just scored on the power play. It's Rodriguez in the slot, and it's 2-0 Florida.
I dropped him from fantasy.
No, that's your fault.
Damn it.
Yeah, well, you know.
Okay.
So, I mean, yeah, I think this is going about as bad as I expected it to be, because I just don't think that making a change at this point was going to do much of anything. And so
I can't believe how bad it's gotten early.
I can, but I think it's more because I've been watching the team all year. That's a really nice shot from Evan Rodriguez, top shelf, over the glove side of Akira Schmid. 10th goal of the year for Evan Rodriguez, and just 6.5 minutes into this one, the Panthers have scored on 2 of their first 6 shots, out shooting New Jersey 6-1 so far. Florida looks like they're very much on their way to winning both games of this back-to-back, unless the Devils really turn it around right now.
And I was just going to mention, because Danelle said it here, like, no Devils players on. Just watching that, like, nobody's pressuring the point. Nobody's pressuring the side. Like, you can you have to provide some pressure on these guys. You can't let them get set up and get comfortable in your own zone, especially on the power
I
play.
agree. For
Make them
sure.
feel uncomfortable.
I agree. And I think that, and Tom Fitzgerald kind of spoke about this earlier today, that I think the Devils have really just gone away from their identity. I think they've just completely, I think in some ways they've kind of bottomed out in terms of just, there's just been a lot. The Devils have certainly dealt with a lot of adversity, and I just don't think that they've been good at responding to any of it. I think
Right.
that they've kind of crumbled under a lot of it. And and I said that in the last live watch along that I did as well. Maybe not as professional as I'm talking right now, but it's
Good
still
point.
kind of what you.
What do you mean? I don't remember.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Let's hope
uh,
nobody remembers.
TV said Florida is 27-1-4 when scoring first.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I did see that
Wow.
stat get brought up. That is pretty remarkable. I think that also shows you that Florida was a lot closer to being like this last year than any of us thought. That's the way that I look at it personally.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting now for the Anthony Duclair getting traded back to Florida for like the fifth time deal to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
It's probably gonna happen.
I'm surprised. I remember we talked yesterday before we decided to do this game tonight that I thought Spencer Knight was going to get the start, and I don't know where he is. So I'm assuming,
I think
again.
I think he's in the minors now that I think about it. I don't think he's
Okay,
even with.
you might be right. Yeah, that's why I was kind of surprised. Like, oh, Stolarz, I forgot he was back up there.
Stolarz has a pretty good record. I think it was like 12-4-2 or something along those 12-7. Like he's been solid.
He has been solid. As you let me just get rid of this here. The blame goes to GM Fitzgerald for not getting a goaltender and any help on defense. Do you believe that's the case? Like they didn't get one soon enough?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, the Devils should have made the move. I don't know how close they were to making a deal happen for Connor Hellebuck when it seemed like he was very much available for to be traded. I think if he really was, I think the Devils should have made more of a full court press. But there also were other guys in free agency that the Devils could have gone after. Like Cam Talbot is making like $1 million this year and has actually had a pretty decent season. There are other guys as well that the Devils could have gone after. But for whatever reasons, and only Tom Fitzgerald can answer it, that he decided to go with what he had, which had proven in the playoffs that it was very shaky. And he's now paying a massive price for it. To also go this long into the season without any move, whether it be for a goalie or defense or anything, or even a coaching fire until just yesterday, is a problem as well. It's just kind of one of those things where you've let the season get away from you, and it's really too late, in my opinion, to think that the Devils are going to get on a run at this point to make the playoffs. I mean, because they haven't shown it up until this point, and now you look at tonight's game, they're already down 2-0 to the Panthers and not really showing much of anything. So,
and we're not even 10 minutes in.
Not even 10 minutes in. I think that's kind of where it's more like, yeah, there is a lot of blame that goes on Tom Fitzgerald for sure in terms of how all of this, I don't want to say fell apart, but has really, really bottomed out. I mean, there's things that are out of Fitzgerald's control and out of the team's control, like Dougie Hamilton getting injured and all the other injuries. But there's things that.
That's just what needs to happen, right?
Yeah.
I'll come back to Daniel's question here real quick, but
Sure.
Jimmy's checking in, saying hi.
What's going on, Jimmy? Good afternoon. I mean, evening, whatever time it is at this point.
It's evening.
Well, for some.
Well, for Jimmy, it's evening.
If you're Dylan, it's only 4:24 in the afternoon.
That's evening too. It counts as evening.
To some people. Late afternoon, early evening, if we want to go
Danelle also asks, we are from the metropolitan area. Out of the 9 teams, do you think the bigger brother is the big brother is Yankees, Giants, Rangers, little brother Mets? Oh, like who's the big brother and who's the little brother?
Yeah, no, I think if you're from the New York metropolitan area, that's pretty accurate in terms of what would be considered in generally the big brother versus little brother comparisons. That has been the case for a long time because those 4 teams um, represent a lot of that. The long standing. They've been around for decades, and all that stuff. And a lot of those teams that are considered the little brother have not been around as long, and to a lot of people don't stand up to the class of the rest of the metropolitan teams. But then again,
right?
Have any of those 9 teams won anything recently?
I mean, let's bring it back up. Closest has been, I think the closest has been the Islanders recently.
I mean, the Rangers probably are in that same level, though. I mean,
yeah, Islanders.
Islanders in that whole list right there. The 3 teams of the last couple of years have been like the Yankees, the Islanders, and the Rangers. Like in terms of getting close to a championship, because that's the way I look at it personally. But other than that, nobody's won anything.
Yeah. So. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, when's the streak gonna break or something like that, right? Connor checking in for me. Watched Calgary Seattle last night. Really threw away a good chance of 2 points in a playoff spot with their ill discipline, especially Martin Pospisil. I'd have gone mad if I were his coach.
Interesting. We do have a penalty, by the way, against the Panthers. Getting a tripping call.
Did you see the hit last night from Pospisil?
I did see it. That was crazy.
What do you think?
My man went flying. It was a penalty. The dude kind of went head first into the board. That's not, and kind of went flying into the board.
I don't think he deserves.
Pospisil's got body, man. He really does.
I don't think he deserves a suspension.
No, I don't think so either. It's like, remember when? Do you remember when Rempe hit Nate Bastian like a couple weeks ago?
Yep. I remember that one.
That wasn't a suspension. He got thrown out the rest of the game, and that was it. But he didn't get suspended. That's kind of where I see it's the same. It's on par.
The stupid thing is that Dunn was standing there for about 5 seconds or more, right? And it's not like Pospisil went in behind. He didn't hit him from behind. If you really look at the replay, right? If he goes in at any other angle where his head isn't down and it stays up and he like falls on his back, you just got bodied. Like, that's just the way it is, right? The first hit, like 10 seconds into that game last night, like he laid someone out too. I personally love what he's doing. I'd probably tell him like afterwards, like, okay, like we have to like do the hitting, like, we're good with that, but just let's take it a little bit of a notch down, and then we're okay. Yeah, I don't think that's worth a suspension last night, though. I think it was a fair hit.
Yeah,
call me crazy, but I think it was a fair hit. You're standing there beside the boards for 5 to 10 seconds. Like,
you're putting yourself in that position.
You are, exactly. So anyway, call me crazy, but I don't think it warrants a suspension. Maybe a game, maybe, but that's about it.
Fair enough. Devils are going to the power play here after number 82 of the Panthers, who I don't know off the top of my head, Stewart, I believe is his last name, is in the box. So we'll see what the Devils can do here on this power play. They are down 2-0. Obviously, if they can get one here, it would be big to just kind of get them back in this game. Because, again, it's still painfully early. We're only about 10 and a half minutes into this contest. Devils have been outshot 6-1 so far. And Cousins and Evan Rodriguez, who I bet you neither one of those guys was projected to score tonight, have the 2 goals. As Luke Hughes behind the net here, looking to set up as the Devils' first power play unit gets set, and Jack Hughes fires it all the way back down into the Devils' zone. So the Devils will restart.
Tidbit here as well, coming from Frank Zaravalli. Nothing huge, but sounds increasingly unlikely that the Flyers will be re-upping or keeping Walker or Sealer come trade deadline day. They've got a good feeling now that on what they both cost. and it appears one will most likely be traded by deadline day.
I did hear that as well, that it's not going to be both of them. It's going to be one or the other.
Yes, for sure.
And that's interesting.
I
think Sealer's the one that goes, in my opinion.
Also checking in is David from our Florida Panthers podcast. David, what's going on?
Definitely got to be happy so far with his team's performance through the first 9.5 minutes of this one.
For sure. And if you guys haven't, check out the FLA Cats podcast when you get the opportunity to go rate and review if you have time. And also do it for Devil's State of Mind because, I'm so nice like that.
The Florida Cats as the Devils score.
There we go.
Off a deflection, I think it might be Jack Hughes from the point of all places. But nonetheless, the Devils get on the board on the power play as it's 2-1. Thank you.
Do you like that I'm using the horn now?
Yeah, I know. I was very appreciative of that.
I got you.
I'm just looking here on the replay again. So Jack takes the shot. Oh, that was just Stolar should have had that. There was nobody. Oh, wait a minute. I'm mistaken. My apologies. It looks like it hit off of Gustav Forsling and in as he looked right up to the rafters after that shot went in. But it's going to be Jack Hughes' goal, his 21st of the year on the power play. And the Devils are on the board here. It's 2-1.
That's feeling like it looked like I saw it too. And Forsling just looked up and it was just like he kind of knew right away. All is good here, David. Hope all is good with you too. As it's okay. We got a long game here. It seemed like Florida was running away. It's not pain yet. You guys are doing fine.
Not pain. Neither team is in pain just yet. Also, does Florida, I'm going to sound really selfish. Does Florida really need this game?
I mean, yeah, because they're trying to get the number one spot in the Atlantic because what's their place? Boston is right there, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. That's going to be – I really hope we get another Boston-Florida series. I think it's going to be even better than last year.
That's going to be such a dirty series.
There's going to be so much anger between those two teams. It's going to be ridiculous.
They're going to hate each other. Yeah, but they're currently fighting with Boston right now because they're 2 points up on them. So, as David says, they're pretty close on there. You know what?
Yeah.
To answer your question, they need this tonight, Neil.
In theory.
In theory, yes. Connor mentioned too, as there was news earlier in Vancouver, we were looking to move Lindholm to Boston and freeing up cap space for Jake Gensel. Truth is, he's not good enough to fit in the team. Your thoughts?
So, what was the point then of getting Lindholm? What was the point of doing that then?
All I'm going to say is this. Lindholm fumbled the bag big time. He should have signed a contract. If he wanted the money, he should have signed. Because look what's happening.
You're saying he should have signed in Calgary, right? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, no, I'm not just saying Calgary, but
just sign a long-term deal.
Man, you're gonna really bother back and forth about how much the difference was in cash. You probably just fumbled your own bag now going into the off season. To be honest,
that's a good point.
He's got 5 points in 10 games there, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Looks like the Devils are going back to the penalty kill. It's going to be McDermott going to the box here. So now the Panthers, who are 1 for 1 already on the power play, will look to see if they can get their second one and double the lead here. As, again, most recent goal came from Jack Hughes on the power play as, McDermott just kind of grabbed Forsling and just kind of threw him to the ground. And ref definitely was not going to be okay with that.
What number is McDermott? Is he?
McDermott is wearing 23 for the
23,
Devils.
Thank you. Okay, gotcha. Good chance there, though. I'm a little behind you there, but it was a good chance by, I think it was Verhaeghe, maybe?
I don't think it was Verhaeghe. It was, I don't know who, I don't know who the guy, I think he wears 14.
I missed it. It was a good chance on a bit of a break there.
Yeah, good stick play. Good stick play. I think it was Luke Hughes that got a stick on that before they could get a shot off.
It was a good stick play. What's reminding me, and I think we talked about this with David saying it's Sam Reinhart time. I'm pretty sure he's a UFA this offseason, isn't he? Or RFA, one of the two?
I think he is actually a UFA. And can we just establish that he has more power play goals than 2 teams in the NHL combined?
Crazy. He's going to get paid.
He's
He
getting
is going to get paid.
Kyle. He's getting the $9 million figure. I swear, he's going to get $9 million from somebody.
Oh, he's going to be. I think he's going to be north of 10.
Oh, we have another penalty. This time against Florida. So that and it's Sam Reinhart who's going to the box. So you are correct. You are correct, David. It is Sam Reinhart time. Time to go to the box.
What timing? Good timing on that, David.
We just had 13 on 13 crime as Sam Reinhart, number 13 of the Panthers, tripped Nico Hischier, number 13 of the
And we're
Devils.
back to the pain.
So now we're back to the pain. I think Kyle, I think we're gonna like David's comments tonight. I think we're gonna enjoy.
I do. But I just want to quickly say on Sam Reinhart before we move to the 4-on-4 here. I think he's gonna get north of 10 million.
North of 10.
Yeah, I think he's gonna get north of 10 for sure.
Oh,
look what Huberdeau got.
No.
But look what Huberdeau got. Somebody will pay him.
That's true.
Yep.
So what are we going for here? So if you were to guess, right? Do you think Florida pays him that 10 mil? Legitimately.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
You're only paying Tkachuk 8, 9, whatever it is, 9, something. Yeah, I think so.
I think if Reinhart gets 10, then you know what that tells me? Tkachuk is getting underpaid.
If he stays in Florida, the convo is he won't make more than Tkachuk. Okay. Yeah.
That's good. But then again, I don't see anybody paying. No, I mean, I'm not saying Florida's being cheap because they're not. I just don't think anybody then is going to pay $10 million to Reinhart. Is Buffalo gonna bring him back? Are the Sabres going to bring him back?
I don't know. I mean, if he's having we saw what he did last year and going into this year. I'm not saying that he should get paid more than Tkachuk. I completely agree with Dave here. I think there's a team out there that probably goes north of 10.
Yeah.
It wouldn't shock me considering the cap is going to go up. That's I'm not saying he doesn't deserve more than Tkachuk at 9.5, which is a steal, by the way. That's a steal of a contract.
We're a commercial.
We're a commercial. Yeah. So I think a team will offer him 10. I don't think it's right, but it feels like if he continues on his career here, where he's at, makes sense.
Yeah. And the salary cap is going up a bit. So that might make it easier for somebody to pay him 10 mil. But I think just me talking here, he can get more than 10 million in the open market, but I don't think Florida will sign it. Yeah, that's the way I look. Honestly,
I see that too.
David, that's the way I would look at it as well. I know that Reinhart's having a great year, but it's also a contract year. We've seen this before where a guy goes off in a contract year, gets that big money deal, and then flops. And I think for the Panthers, if they could get a deal done where he's getting paid less than Tkachuk, or maybe even just a little bit less, I think that is the right move, personally.
Sure.
If you're
totally.
Other than that, I think you got to wait to see how the playoffs go. Can he contribute in the playoffs? Things like that.
For context here, well, I was just going to say real quick for context before I mention Connor's comment here. He's got 44 goals, 30 assists, 74 points so far this year. So
I thought he had more points than that. It feels like that's.
And also, true, state tax comes into play in Florida.
Yeah, so of course. I get it. Why did Bobrovsky originally sign that deal?
Yeah, state tax. Yeah, if Reinhart gets 1.6 million less, Petey, who?
Then who?
I don't know. Despite having a lot more points, Petey.
Pedersen?
Oh, Pedersen.
Pedersen. And Elias Pedersen got his long-term extension as well.
He got his contract. He got 11.6 AAV.
Once again, Carolina basically forced another team to pay up their guy. That's impressive.
That's wild.
I
think Carolina makes a splash.
What happened though? Can you imagine if that had happened?
What would that have looked like? We talked about it last time. What would that have looked like?
It would have multiple firsts. Multiple firsts.
It would have cost them Jarvis and Natchez.
I think it would have been Natchez. Yeah, Natchez definitely would have been in that deal for sure.
Another first, their top prospect, it would have been a hefty package.
Oh, for sure. It would have been like a blockbuster deal for sure. It would have been
Oh yeah,
something. I would have
no,
been
he's
like,
so sweet.
wow. I would have been like, finally, Carolina's getting their top offensive guy that they want. Like, because they've been trying for so long to get like that top offensive guy. And like that would have been, I think if this was last year, Kyle, I think
Mhm.
maybe it would have been more likely that it would have happened.
Totally. And so for him, I think it'll be under Pedersen, but I think somebody out there would be willing to pay him more than 10.
Yeah, for sure.
He continues to pop off. I don't know, but maybe I'm wrong, and maybe they go under. He might just stay in Florida and might just play
Yeah,
play under Kachuk, like get around that, right? So we'll
for
see
sure.
what happens. Little tidbit here before we get back to the action: the Tampa Bay Lightning are officially the front runners for trading Noah Hannafin.
It's gonna happen, guys.
Pierre
It's a
LeBrun.
done deal. It's a done deal. We just got to sit here and wait because I think that look, Kyle and I have talked about it with Noah Hannafin. Um, he wants to go to Tampa. He said he wants to go there at some point in his career. Well, this is a good time to do it. And I just though what I worry about from Calgary's perspective is feeling like that they're not going to get a whole lot for him just because they want to fulfill Hannafin's wishes of going to play in Tampa Bay. Like that's the way I
If
look
that
at it.
first round, but here's the thing: if that 2026 first round pick's on the table, like it has to be, and there can't be
I think it
conditions
has to be.
attached to it.
I think it
There
has to
can't be
be.
any conditions attached to it. And if that's the case, I'm more than happy to send him there. That for me is so much value
Yeah,
because of where the Lightning are right now.
yeah,
You don't know where they're going to be in 3 years. I'm okay with that. I will gladly take that pick from them. I think that's going to be a very valuable pick at the
yeah.
time. So if
It
that
might be one
starts
of
and
those. I
yeah,
was going to say really quickly, Kyle, that it might be one of those picks that ends up being a top 3 pick by that time,
it could be. It could be. I
and
like
that
it
would be
though.
something,
I would
wouldn't
love
it?
it. I would love to have that. I think that pick comes into play, and if they can get another serviceable defenseman, I'm okay with that. And
Fair
whatever, if
enough.
they grab another third round pick or something to go along
Yeah,
with it, or fourth, so be it.
right.
I'll take that any day of the week. So
Yeah,
anyway, back to the action.
yeah. Again, it's 2-1 Florida. Again, the most recent goal came a few minutes. About 6 or 7 minutes ago, Jack Hughes on the power play. Both teams have had a power play since then. Neither team scored. I think the chances have kind of evened out a bit over the last few minutes. I feel like, Florida got off to that really, really fast start, but I definitely feel like the Devils have slowly found their legs. They got that power play goal, and now let's see what they could do. But an opportunity here for Verhaeghe, but a good save by Akira Schmid. About 2:13 to go in this first period, as now puck wraps around the boards, as now Ekman Larson over to the left side. Takes a shot from Verhaeghe. That one goes into the right corner. Uh, Florida putting on some pressure here in the offensive zone on the forecheck. Nico Hischier now intercepts it, gets around a defender, pass over to John Marino, who loses it, and it's intercepted by Reinhart. Flings it over now to Barkov. Barkov now gets it to Reinhart. Good pass over. Back to Reinhart again. Open space. He tried to feed it to Larson, but it goes all the way back into the Florida zone here with about 90 seconds to go. So now, just as I was saying that, it looks like Florida's kind of had a couple of really good opportunities, just haven't gotten much on net. A lot of passing, not a lot of shots on net of late. Is now Luke Hughes being hounded here. Puck wraps are on the boards. Forsling now over just out of the reach of Evan Rodriguez, who has the most recent Panther goal. Curtis Lazar and Rodriguez fighting with it. Intercepted by Florida. Gets it top of the point. Ekblad takes a shot. That one gets blocked. Puck is in front there. Devils struggling, desperately needing to get it out of the zone. Dawson Mercer intercepts. Devils come the other way. Might be a 3-on-2. Gets slowed up a bit. Lazar dumps it into the left corner. Chris Tierney fighting along with Ekblad. Dawson Mercer now gets it top of the point. Over the left side, back to Mercer. Mercer throws it in front, but it gets blocked. Kevin Ball keeps it in. Tries to get over to Marino. It gets chipped and intercepted. Cousins, he's trying to get the puck, but it's intercepted by Ball with 35 seconds to go in this period. The Devils will slow it up. Get it over to Kevin Ball, and he'll get it. It'll chip off the stick of Holla, and it'll actually go right to Stolars, and he'll cover here 23.8 to go in the first.
Another tidbit to interrupt again, per Pierre LeBrun. The Senators are, of course, shopping Vladimir Tarasenko. They are asking for a first-round pick for Vladimir Tarasenko.
I think he's worth it.
I think he's worth it too. Me too.
So I'm going. My prediction for Tarasenko is Carolina. That's my prediction.
I think if it was Carolina, though, he probably would have signed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but who knows what ended up happening? Who knows?
No, that's true. You have no idea.
Who truly knows what happened in those negotiations? And remember, he changed like agents out of nowhere and then was like, "No, I'm good." And I'm just like, it was weird. It was very weird. It didn't make a lot of sense. Penguins having an easy time against Columbus, not a shock.
Also, Jesse Puljujarvi gets his first as a Pittsburgh Penguin.
Yes, he signed a PTO earlier this year with
he gets his
Pittsburgh.
first.
As the first period in New Jersey here comes to an end as the Panthers have a 2-1 lead after 20. Nick Cousins and Evan Rodriguez with the goals for Florida. Jack Hughes with the lone goal for New Jersey. So despite the slow start, once again from the Devils, they are only down by 1, and I felt played better as the period went along. But Kyle, really quickly, your thoughts through the first 20 minutes of action here.
Well, I mean, you mentioned that they weren't really going to get a response after a quick start, from Florida, and you felt like that this could have gone out of hand quickly, and all it takes is one power play for New Jersey, and then boom, on the other side, it's Hughes with a goal, and, you're making this a hockey game all of a sudden. So, I think the important thing for the Devils going to the second is that, you can't cut yourself out of the game. You can't, create too many more opportunities for Florida to put them on the power play. And, for me, a win in this second period for the Devils would just be to keep yourself in it, right? Don't kick yourself out of the game. Just stay in it and stay in the fight, because it's just going to be one of those nights, and that's going to be how you're going to win this game tonight. So it's going to be one of those close battles, and you just can't pull yourself away from the Panthers in the second.
Yeah, and if you're Florida, I think really, I think you played overall a pretty good first period. You got on the Devils early. I think, though, you kind of took your foot off the gas quite a bit. As the period went along, you took that penalty. You ended up giving up a power play goal, and you kind of gave the Devils a little bit of life here going into this second period and maybe beyond. So we'll see how both teams come out in the next 20 minutes. Kyle and I do have a lot to talk about in our first intermission report, not just about the game, obviously, but again, we're going to be talking heavily trade deadline, because there's a lot that has already happened that might happen tonight. And we'll do some predictions, I think, as well on some guys that maybe
could happen in the next 3 minutes.
It could happen in the next 3 minutes while we're at commercial break. But while we get ready for that, we're going to step aside for the first time tonight to get our first words from our sponsors. And welcome everybody here to our first intermission report of our game between the Florida Panthers and the New Jersey Devils. Kyle Manifold alongside Neil Villapiano. And after 20 minutes of play, Panthers have a 2-1 lead over the Devils. Panthers got off to a roaring start as they scored 2 goals within the first couple of minutes of this one. Started with Nick Cousins scoring on a backhand, his 4th of the year, and then Evan Rodriguez scoring on a power play to get his 10th goal of the year. Devils later on in the period were able to get one back off a long power play shot that found its way to the back of the net off a deflection from Jack Hughes. And so that's where we are after 20 minutes of play. As you can see there by the shots on goal, very much in the favor of the Florida Panthers, 11-3 to be exact. So I think the Devils are pretty lucky to at least get one back after what was, I think, overall a pretty bad period by New Jersey in their first period with Travis Green in charge as the interim head coach. Kyle, wanted to get your thoughts on this because I found it really interesting. In the pregame show here for the Devils, they interviewed Tom Fitzgerald, and he was asked a boatload of questions. Sorry about that, Kyle.
All right.
A boatload of questions, basically about just the decision to remove Lindy Ruff and talking about Travis Green. And the one thing that stood out to me was that Travis Green said, "If I take this position as the interim head coach for the rest of the year, I want full control of the lineup decisions," which then made me think to myself, are you going to tell me that Lindy Ruff did not have full control of the lineup decisions throughout the last 4 years of this team? Am I
Sure.
Am I misinterpreting this, Kyle, or is there some truth? Like what are your thoughts on a comment like that?
You could be. That's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is that maybe throughout his time in previous teams like the Canucks, where he used to coach as well, maybe he didn't have full control there, right? So maybe he's coming in saying, "Look, this was my past time with the Canucks or whoever else is with the past." That he wants full control, right? So
Yeah.
I think with the way that we're at, it seems more likely that maybe I can kind of see as it kind of fell off for the Devils a little bit in the beginning of the second half of the year and just kind of the direction this team was going, 40 games into the season. You can make an argument that, that Lindy Ruff might not have had full control. There might have been some nights that, hey, we're putting Holtz on this line or whatever. We have to keep Toffoli and Hughes together, blah, blah, blah. So I think there's two ways you can look at it. I think you can probably lean towards that. Maybe Lindy Ruff just didn't have that control. So no, I don't think it's crazy for you to think that.
Yeah, it's fair. I think I just found it a very interesting comment to say that why would somebody who's the interim head coach then say I'll only take the position if I get full control of the line combinations?
Unless he's had past experiences as an interim head coach years and years ago where he just hasn't had control. So there's that too.
Maybe.
There's a couple of ways you can look at it. So you're never going to really get a full answer here, but
yeah,
that's just all for speculation.
I did also want to bring up this comment that I saw on Twitter from Christy Flannery of the Hockey News. She covers the Devils for the Hockey News. She said, quote, "A lot of times organizations will fire a coach to give the fan base the illusion of change because real change is really hard," end quote. I was told this during a recent phone interview, and I've been thinking about it all day. This was before the Devils made it 2-1. It said Florida has 2 goals while the Devils have 1 shot. So what do you think of that? Honestly, I want to get your thoughts on that too. I find that to be kind of interesting about, talking about, is this real change or is this and maybe it's more the illusion of change because of where the Devils are at this point in the season.
Sure.
What do you think?
You can look at it that way. I mean, you can kind of also see the way it's gone tonight. This game could have gotten really out of hand, right? And we might not be saying those comments right now. So I mean, you could look at it that way, but you've also you also want to say something like that 20 games ago, right?
Right.
So yeah, no, I get it. It's one of those you can look at it both ways, but you'd wish you'd hear something like that a long time ago and not now. That's the way I see it.
I agree. I think that I think I think most Devils fans would agree, and I think even most media people would agree that if the Devils were going to do this, they should have done it a month ago.
Long time ago,
I
yeah.
mean, Tom Fitzgerald even said that there were times that he thought about it earlier this year. But I think that what kept him from doing it is that there were also all these different excuses that you can put in front of Lindy Ruff. This is really on him. You can say that in terms of acquiring better goaltending, that wasn't necessarily on Lindy Ruff. And he can only throw in the guys that he has to try to be better. But they weren't. There were other things that Fitzgerald, as I said before, should have and could have done, but he didn't. But I think that the Devils needed to make this change. If not now, then it's going to happen in the offseason. That's the way that I look at it. But at least if you do it now, you already have the plan of now I got to start looking for, guys that could very well be candidates to be the next head coach. It's like what you see in the NFL. There's times where NFL head coaches, they get fired like 7-8 games into the year. That's fine because then guess what? You get like an entire half of a season to see where your team is at,
Test
see
it out.
what you're looking for, and then also look at and see, okay, now I can create a list of options that I can look at to be a head coach. I think the Devils need a change. This is, in my opinion, change and not just the illusion of it. But there's obviously more change that needs to be made, whether that's at the deadline, if that's the way you're going to look at it, and certainly in the offseason whenever that happens for this team.
You also could make the argument that Lindy should not have started the year as head coach.
I agree. He shouldn't have been, he should not have been given a contract extension. He should not have returned. And this is not because Lindy Ruff didn't deserve the chance to keep coaching after the season he had last year. It's just the reality is that Lindy Ruff at this point in his career was known more as a development type of coach than a guy that you can rely on to win. He was given a lot of credit for the development of some of the players that have had a lot of success in Dallas, even now. Tyler Seguin, Jamie Benn,
List
even
goes
Daryl
on.
Heiskanen. The list goes on and on. Tom Fitzgerald said that there's going to be handprints all around of, Lindy Ruff's handprints are going to be all over this team moving forward in terms of the development.
You bet.
His handprints are a lot over the success development of the talent that Dallas has. But what did Dallas do? They made a change. And they've gotten closer to winning the cup with Pete DeBoer and even Rick Bowness than they did when Lindy Ruff was there. So I think the Devils eventually got to that same conclusion. Now, I have said this before, that the Devils would be better off getting either a younger coach who has more of an idea of how you win in this league now, or a championship coach. So again, you can look at Jay Woodcroft as an example. I think Jay Woodcroft becomes a head coach in this league next year. I don't know where, but I think he's going to get a shot. Mike Sullivan, he could very well get fired by Pittsburgh if things do not, if
it falls off.
Yeah. And look, Kyle Dubas, again, he might look for his own guy. Mike Sullivan is not his guy at all. So that's a possibility. There's, again, Craig Berube. There's different ways you could go about it. So I think for the Devils, it's going to be about, you got to see what this team could do in the last 21 games of the year. And you need to start making change. And it started with Lindy Ruff, and there's other work to be done.
Is there anybody else internally that you could look at before looking outside?
I think the one guy that would be an interesting option is Kevin Dineen, who's the head coach of the Utica Comets, the Devils minor league affiliate. Connor knows about the Utica Comets from their days of being the Canucks affiliate. Kevin Dineen has had a lot of good success. He's the second or third winningest head coach in Utica Comets history. The first, ironically, is Travis Green. Just thought I'd mention that. It's really funny.
Love it.
It is interesting. Also, it should be mentioned that you know who the goalie was for the Utica Comets when Travis Green was there?
Who?
Jacob Markstrom. This means literally none of this means anything. I just like mentioning it because it's funny and very
Yeah,
ironic. But I would say Kevin Dineen. He played in the NHL. He has that experience. He's coached in the NHL. He won a Stanley Cup with the Chicago Blackhawks. Granted, assistant coach. Granted, um,
assisted.
but he also has a really good relationship with a lot of the young players the Devils have. Not necessarily Jack Hughes or Nico Hischier or Jesper Bratt, but other young players like Alexander Holtz, Kevin Ball, Simone Nemitz, Nico Dawes, Akira Schmidt. Like he knows how to get the best out of those guys because they wouldn't be in the NHL right now if they weren't playing, if they didn't develop well down in Utica. So that would be a guy that if you wanted to go with an internal option, a guy who may know the team or know a good amount of the team right now, I think Kevin Dineen is an option. And I think he will be an option. Funny enough, the Utica reporters even asked him today, like, what the Devils just did with Lindy Ruff, what does that affect with like everything that's going on in Utica? And he goes, obviously, there's going to be things that are going to be talked about and there's going to be decisions that are going to be made, but everything's status quo down here right now. And
Gotcha.
Utica's fighting for a playoff spot right now as well, after getting off to a horrible start in their own right. But, I would say Kevin Dineen would be that internal option other than Travis Green, obviously, if he does well in his interim role. But I think Kevin Dineen would be that guy that would keep your eye on.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, hey, it's good insight because from speaking from experience here, like when we've got Huska now for the Flames, he was a bench boss for the last 5 years, right?
Right.
And he's getting a shot. So always looking internally, like me asking that question because of that, like always looking internally is never a bad option either.
No.
And just to give people an update too, as well, again, Penguins do lead 2-0 over the Blue Jackets after one. And that one, Bruins and Oilers are currently tied. No score in the first there in that one. Islanders and Blues are also in action tonight. They're at no score as well. Super big New Jersey Devils fan. Hey, Neil, it's me, Daniel.
What's going on, Daniel? Good to see you, man.
I was like, I don't know if you know him or not.
I do know him. Yeah, I do know him.
Oh, good. Okay. And then for this week, we got 3 games Wednesday. You got 12 games on Thursday, day before the deadline. And then on deadline day, you have 4 games there with 13 games on Saturday and 5 on Sunday. Jared, who's currently at the Bruins game tonight against the Oilers, says that Lindholm, hearing from Jim Montgomery, that Lindholm will return as soon as early as with the game against the Stars, which I imagine is coming up. Soon.
Okay. I honestly did not know that he was even.
He's been out for a little bit. He's been out for a little bit. Yeah.
So I thought that was a really good pickup by Boston when they got him from Anaheim.
Such a good pickup. He's such
not a fan of the contract though that they signed him to.
But he's a guy where I could be like, yeah, you can still make it work. Right, even on that contract, like I still think you can make it work in that regard. So
I don't know if you have this same feeling here as the second period of our game between Florida and New Jersey has just got underway. I don't know if you feel this way, Kyle, but I've always felt like the Bruins are not fans of bringing in guys for only a year. I feel like when they acquire somebody, they're looking to bring in guys that they feel that they can keep for like 4 or 5 or 6 years. You know what I'm saying?
And the reason why they do that is because look at their prospect system. It's not great, right?
I mean,
their recent guy. The thing is too, like Poitras was a guy who popped off earlier this year for the Bruins, right? Like that's the most we've heard from out of their prospect system, right? So I'm not surprised that that's obviously what they try to do, and I'm curious to see what they do with the deadline and if they are. I know they're not front runners compared to what the Lightning are with Hanifin, but if they become a member of the conversation and they sign him to an extension, we'll have to see what that looks like too, because you just mentioned the Lindholm, Hampus Lindholm contract and how bad that looks. So I'm curious to see what they do.
I feel like, Boston's one of those teams that like they could very well buy and sell at the same time. They could very well do both.
I think you can, if they sell Allmark, you can get a great return. And I wouldn't even bother asking for picks. I would ask for somebody who can play a top 6 role.
Or if nothing else, because it sounds like at times that they may want to move Allmark for salary cap like relief, that the Devils could easily give them a prospect or two because, again, the Devils still have one of the better prospect pools in the league, despite obviously playing so many of their, young prospects this year. And if, we're talking about the Bruins not having a great prospect pool, that could certainly help them. But who knows?
Man, yeah, I can't wait to see. Do we have news?
I don't know. It's a good shot there from Rodriguez. Is fought off by Akira Schmid. Another opportunity there by number 15 Lundell, but that one is snuffed out by Schmid again. So Panthers with two good, point blank shots on Schmid, but he stops both of them.
Sorry, it was spam.
Oh,
I keep getting spam trades, and that's all it's going to be for the next couple days.
I want to just say like a quick PSA to everybody, and I think somebody who covers the Seattle Kraken might have said this earlier today, that this time of the year is always tough because people are going to put out stuff just to be funny or to really try to get people to believe stuff that's ridiculous. I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you guys, if you're really like wanting to focus on like the guys who are the most trustworthy guys, the Elliot Friedmans, the Darren Dregers, the Pierre LeBruns of the world, put them on post notifications and only react when they post something. Don't worry about anything else, because there's so many people out there that will impersonate and make things look so much like the person or the team, and it turns out to be a fake account, and you're getting played. So that would be my recommendation to everybody.
Totally, yeah. And you know what? That's okay, because it'll be, once Friday comes and goes, it goes back to normal, right? And it's just that time of year, exactly. Right? Like, it's never, unfortunately, going to stop, right?
No.
So I'm curious to see what are the. I know we're straying away from the game here, but last question before we get back to the game. What?
Oh, just a really good opportunity for Jack Hughes twice on a backhand and on a rebound chance, but two good saves there by Stolars. Just wanted to mention that real quick.
Yeah, so I saw earlier with Chris Johnson's report, and we mentioned it, and I wanted your thoughts on the likelihood of something like this happening. So, again, Chris Johnson mentioned earlier that the Canucks believe to be among those pursuing Jake Gensel. Word is they've had discussions about potentially flipping Elias Lindholm to the Bruins as part of the mechanics to make it happen. Nothing concrete in place at this time. It's still lots of moving parts. What's the likelihood of something like that happening on a scale of 1 to 10?
I would say a scale of 1 to 10. I'm going to go to 6 on that one because I think Gensel is all but guaranteed to move. And I think if Vancouver wants to be a player in that and they really, really feel that Lindholm is just not going to do it for them, then yeah, I think then it's going to be more likely. So I'll give it a 6 out of 10. So I'm leaning a little bit more towards I think it's very possible, but I'm also leaving some room for it still very much could not happen.
I'd probably say 5. I think Chris said it best when there's a lot of moving parts that need to get done. And who knows if it's a 3-team, that would probably be the biggest 3-team trade I can remember. I don't even remember the last big 3-team trade that happened. Not the previous one where the Devils claimed retention from Chris.
Yeah, that doesn't
count.
Nothing. That trade was without question nothing.
I'm kind of curious, when the last biggest 3-team trade was in the NHL. Do you know?
You probably have to go into the Google search for that one.
I am going to do that. I'm actually just curious.
Second period shot 7-2 in favor of the Devils. So the Devils have certainly come out here with some good energy and a couple of good chances right away. But Anthony Stolar shutting the door. But the Devils definitely have kind of turned the tide a little bit in the momentum in their favor. Alexander Barkov, 15 goals, 47 assists for 62 points. Although, correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle, but isn't he technically named Sasha Barkov, not Alexander anymore?
I thought it was always Alexander.
I thought he changed his name. Well, not changed his name.
I've heard Sasha. Yeah, I've heard Sasha Barkov.
Yeah, but I don't care either way. He's a hell of a player. That pass that he made last night to Reinhart for that goal against the Rangers, ridiculous.
So good. That was disgusting.
And people practice that too. That doesn't happen because he's lucky or because he's talented. Well, he is talented, but it's like he probably practices that as a turnaround shot there by Florida, stopped and covered by Akira Schmid. And speaking of that play, Kyle, here on the MSG broadcast, they literally just showed it. That play by Barkov. I mean, oh my
Gross.
goodness. He undressed Keandre Miller, Trocheck out of position, and Sam Reinhart with the goal.
Also, 15 goals only this year for Barkov.
Well, he's not really a goal
He's got
scorer.
a lot of assists. He's got a lot of assists, correct, and he's not really a goal scorer. But just worth noting that he's only got 15 goals. So who your goal scorers on this team, especially, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Let me ask you this, Kyle. I'm kind of curious to know your thoughts. Do you think Aaron Ekblad, who's I think the longest tenured Panther at this point and was a top pick when he was selected, do you feel that he's a bust? I mean, he's had some injuries that have kept him out for quite some time, but he has been a pretty solid player in his overall career. Do you feel that he's a bust?
You'd have to really look back and watch the tape because I find it so hard to judge defensemen just by looking at their stats.
Ooh.
Right? I feel like it's tough with that because you have to, you don't want to base it off of just points, right?
Yeah.
But just for the sake of this year, I mean, he's only got 15 points, but he's a plus 22 on this team. So he makes it, he's a contributor, obviously, right? So, he's obviously not going to be the guy that's going to put up massive amount of points, but he's just a contributor to the guys up front, right? And I don't know. I don't think he's been, I mean, he's got 344 points in 669 games in his career. So yeah, he was a first overall pick. I think for first overall pick status, I can't say no.
Okay.
I can't. I think you look back at his career, like it's not terrible. Like his stats aren't terrible. They're all pretty decent.
But the injuries really slowed him down.
It's just, yeah, but I mean, with the injuries, like that's just a part of the game, right? So
No,
I can't really fault him for that. But just looking at, like, he had 57 points one year for the Panthers, right? He had 38 last year. Like he's a guy who gets consistently over 30 points, right? So as much as he put up points, he's always in the plus. It seems like he's never in the minus, right? He's always in the plus for the Panthers, and yeah, I don't think so. I mean, it seems like he contributes well for his team, especially with these plus minuses. Like he's, his career, he's plus 80 for his entire career. Like, that's good to see, right?
Yeah.
So I can't say no, but let's talk again maybe down the line in a couple of years.
Down the line, yeah. Down the line.
Also, do you want to hear something really funny real quick before you move on?
I was just
we were talking about
14:44 to go here in the second period. Still 2-1 Florida here. Both goaltenders have kind of settled in here a little bit over the last over the last bit.
Canadiens and Predators currently tied at 1. We were talking about three-way trades earlier on. And one of the big ones that they brought back up, Sportsnet wrote an article a couple months ago about three-way trades. I don't know if you remember this one because it did involve the Devils back in 1995 when what's this guy's name here? Thomas. Thomas went to the Devils. Which Thomas?
Robert Thomas.
Robert Thomas. Thank you. Robert Thomas went to the Devils. Claude Lemieux was sent off to Colorado, and Wendell Clark was headed to New York.
Oh, right. Yeah, the Claude deal. Yeah, that was really
sorry, Steve Thomas. Steve Thomas,
right. The crazy thing about it that, granted, I was not born yet when this happened, but like it kind of like boggles my mind that Claude Lemieux had just won the Conn Smythe with the Devils, helped them win a Stanley Cup, and then he was dealt. I don't know, and I don't remember if it was because I think it had something to do with like a contract situation. I don't remember like the reason behind it. I thought that was strange.
Well, they have a little paragraph on it. Let me just bring that up again. 3 teams facing. They were all facing holdouts from their star wingers. So it was a rare 1-for-1-for-1 deal. Like, that's exactly what it was, right? The Devils were coming off the franchise's first Stanley Cup, thanks in large part due to Claude Lemieux, but Lemieux was pushing for a new deal, which didn't sit well with Devils GM Lou Lamoriello.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And, look, it worked. You know what's hilarious about that is that it ended up working out for both teams because Claude Lemieux would obviously go on to win the Stanley Cup again in '96 with the Colorado Avalanche. And then 4 years later, he would go back to the Devils and help them win their second Stanley Cup in 2000.
Crazy. That's very, you don't see that anymore, eh? A one for one.
That is
so
strange.
Yeah. That's wild. I find it funny, how, you take 20 years ago, there's so much value to draft picks now, right? Because of how deep it's gotten over the last couple of years, the last 10 years or so, right? These draft picks have become so much more valuable, I find, whereas GMs back in the day were like, okay, you take him, you take the one guy, it's a straight 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, the class, back that, way back in the day, they didn't care about, draft picks and stuff like that. By the way, she also mentioned Sam Reinhart currently has the third most goals in a season in Panthers history. Pavel Bure has the most. 99, 2000, he put up 58. 2000, 2001, he put up 59.
Oh my God.
And what was his nickname?
That's crazy.
Russian Rocket? Was that his nickname?
The Russian Rocket. That's what his nickname was.
Right.
Also, the Penguins lead was short led, as it was Andrew Peeke and Johnny Gaudreau have tied it.
Damn, Columbus all of a sudden is playing some good hockey for now.
For literally now.
For now. Also, again, another rough injury for the Blue. Kent Johnson out for the year.
Yeah, that was a couple of days ago with Kent Johnson.
Yeah, that is I just, in a way, I do feel bad for the Blue Jackets because it's having those type of they've had such bad luck this year with so much going against them.
So I have another little bit of tidbit news here.
Please share.
It does circle around Noah Hanifin. Basically, the problem now is the fact that Noah Hanifin's camp has basically held down the Flames on trying to get a good return because, they've made it very clear of their intentions and what they want, right?
Over the Flames.
Yeah, so they really want to go somewhere long term, and they will step in if they find they're going to go somewhere that's going to be a rental piece.
I think Conroy should just say screw it and just dealt him to whoever he.
That's the stupid thing. The dumb thing is they say this, right? And it's you're not tied down to anything. These guys aren't tying you down. They're not holding you hostage, for God's sakes.
Right.
Conroy's going to send you wherever he damn well feels like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I get it. Look, it made more sense. It makes more sense with Markstrom, right? Because he has a no movement, no trade or no movement clause. I forgot.
Correct. Yeah.
He has a no trade clause. So that makes more sense. It's okay, well, you got to have Markstrom be okay with it. You have to go through him so you can make a deal happen. With Hanifin, you don't have to do anything. By the way, penalty coming up here against the Panthers. So the Devils are going to go to a power play with a great chance here to potentially tie it.
Also, they've gotten more shots on goal. I can see now in this period. Good for New Jersey. So good opportunity.
I think it's the shots on goal in this period have been even. They're currently 8 apiece, so it's been a lot more. It's been a lot more even. But nice. The Noah Hanifin thing, dude. I'll give you an example. If New Jersey comes and gives you a really good deal, do it. Just send him.
Take it.
Screw it. And let let the Devils, let Hanifin, let all of them deal with it.
Yeah. He shouldn't. The problem, the one thing when Conroy came in that we were worried about is that he's too much of a guy's guy in the locker room with these guys, too friendly, doesn't come down to hard on business, right? When it comes to trying to make the best deal, right? So that was the big worry coming in, and I think it's showing its true colors here.
And I think you might have mentioned it yesterday that once Hanifin gets moved, that's going to set off a chain reaction of other things.
Everybody's waiting for Hannafin. Even when Mantha went today, like that to me, like, isn't much, right? That's expected out of Vegas, right?
Right.
They want to know because the market's going to be set when Hannafin goes because he is the top trade candidate, right? He sets, if anything, sets the market, right? So for Vegas to do something like that tonight, like that's a fair deal. I think Washington can walk away pretty happy with that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's going to set off a domino effect when he goes because he's the top dog.
Another defenseman to keep your eye on, Kyle, that may get moved is also Jacob Chychrun, who does have another year after this year. It's very possible that Ottawa may decide to move him. I think you can get a decent amount for him because he does have another year on his contract. So whoever gets him, you're guaranteed to get him for the rest of this season and then next year. And Jacob Chychrun's had a pretty solid year. He's put up a decent amount of points on a pretty bad Senators team. So I don't think it would cost you too much, but I think Chychrun doesn't go until Hannafin goes.
Correct. The market sets. Yeah, correct. The market's going to be set when Hannafin
for
goes.
Defensemen we're talking about.
I think for Ottawa,
that would really affect other deals that involve like forwards or potentially goalies, though.
It sucks for Ottawa because it's like you just got this guy, right? And now you got his
value's
not
right. If I'm not mistaken, wasn't it last year's deadline they got him?
Correct. They got him at last year's deadline, just a week before the deadline.
A week before,
so his value's gone down, right? And for Ottawa, it's just like, okay, I guess we'll grab some more second round picks. Like,
right.
It sucks if you're a Sens fan that you're gonna have to lose Chychrun if that's gonna be the case. But hey, if you could find a way to get a first round pick for Tarasenko, that's a win.
I think if you could get, a couple of good picks for both Tarasenko and maybe even Chychrun, if you do move them, I think that's a win, personally.
Totally.
I think it's very much a win. That's kind of like really interesting with it. As Devils power play just got underway, Ekblad dumps it back into the Devils zone here. Devils are 1 for 1 on the power play, which if you are a Devils fan, that's something that you would not believe me if I told you that, if you haven't been watching, considering the Devils have scored very few power play goals over the last couple of months, as much as I hate to say that. But let's see if the Devils can get another one here as Toffoli chips it now over to Jack Hughes, over the left side to Luke Hughes, up the left side now over to Brad, top of the point, back to Luke, now to Jack Hughes, now gets it over to Nico Hischier, back to Jack Hughes here, now to Brad. Brad walks it, gives it up to Hughes. Now Jack feeds it in front. That should have stopped. Rebound try is loose. Ekblad gets to it, and he's going to be able to easily backhand it into the Devils zone in the right corner where Sam Reinhart will get to it first. He has 5 power play goals. Shorthanded goals this year. So Paul Maurice is not afraid to play Reinhart either on the power play or the penalty kill.
Mm-hmm. Sounded like it was. I'm catching up, but it sounded like it was really close.
Very close. I think the puck was loose there in the slot, but a good play there by Ekblad to get that puck out of there. As now Jack Hughes comes up back into the Florida zone here. 23 seconds to go in the power play. Hughes over to the left side to Nico Hischier. Hischier backhands at top of the point now to Luke. Luke back over to Nico Hischier left side. Hischier now tries to get over the Bratt, just out of his reach. Bratt regains it. Back to Jack Hughes, now to Nico Hischier behind the net. Hischier now gets it over now to Jack. Jack, now to Brad, top of the point. Left side now over to Luke Hughes. Hughes with a shot. That one gets blocked. Puck is loose. Power play is up for the Devils. Brad throws it in front, and that one gets blocker to the boards, and the Panthers will dump it all the way back down for an icing with 9:04 to go in the second period. I think despite not the Devils scoring, I think they had a couple of decent chances there. I think overall the Devils' power play has looked better than it's looked in quite some time. But again, in my opinion, just a few too many passes.
I mean, it looked like I think I didn't see who it was, but he had a stick on it. If he had more of a harsh shot,
there's no opportunity there, and they score! Timo Meier on a rebound, and the Devils have tied it at 2.
That was very delayed.
Yeah, no, it's all good. As the puck was loose there, and Timo Meier just kind of whacked it in. with a scramble in front as Stolarz, a bad whiff there by Mikkola, and then, Timo Meier kicked it to his stick, and he one-handed it into the net. An impressive goal for Timo Meier, and it's a game-tying goal. So the Devils have come back from down 2-0 to tie this game at 2 with 9 minutes to go in the second.
It works. It works, man. Take what you can get.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing. Now it's a game. Now all of a sudden you can go in a third period knowing that, unless bearing something happens here, right? Then, it's you should be set up for a good third period coming up.
Absolutely. So I think you got to, it's definitely a good sign as now Eric Holla comes into the zone, but a good stick play there from Sam Bennett. Gets up center ice, comes into the offensive zone, drops it over to Tkachuk. Tkachuk now feeds it over now to Forsling with a drive that gets deflected up and out of play. And then Sam Bennett and Brendan Smith with a bit of pleasantries and Matthew Tkachuk getting involved, but we'll get a stoppage of play here with 8:23 to go in the second. Devils just tied it thanks to a goal from Timo Meier. As Jersey Kid says, we're not dead yet. No, they are not dead yet in this game.
We're alive.
Kyle, you mentioned it before in the first intermission. Sometimes a team just needs one to get themselves going. And I felt that ever since the Devils scored on that power play back in the first from Jack Hughes, they've been way better in this game, have generated chances, have been better defensively. The goaltending from Akira Schmid has been better, and they grinded their way to the point of just tying it just a few moments ago.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it just takes one, right? And then all of a sudden the wheels start turning, right? And, you see it all the time where teams just get deteriorated when it takes them forever to pot one in, right? And all of a sudden it just takes the one and it just starts to, you finally have the realization like, oh, wow, we believe we can finally get by this guy, right? So, not to say that Stolarz has been like standing on his head tonight. He's had a couple of good saves, but, that's all it took. Because if it wasn't for Hughes, this game could be 3-0 or 4-0 at this point, right? Like, if they didn't find that spark and they weren't able to generate more quality chances, then we're probably looking at a different picture here. But because of that, now you see the effect in the result.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Kyle, while we got a commercial break here, as we see here, dude, Connor McDavid is insane in person. You guys need to watch him. And Ullmark is in goal for the Bruins, and Skinner is in net for the Oilers. Yeah, I don't think Ullmark gets dealt right now, personally. No. I think it's in the offseason.
But I mean, the stupid thing is that it didn't work last year for Ullmark and Swayman in the playoffs of the Bruins. So, you gotta. For the Bruins, it's a different case because you have two starting goaltenders, right? Like,
right.
They can go out, trade Ullmark, find a backup goaltender, a true backup goaltender, right? And say, Swayman, like, you're our guy, right? Get some good assets from Ullmark, and then turn a little bit of that or whatever else you have into getting a backup goaltender, maybe Kaapo Kakkonen as an example, or where else you might find maybe Jake Allen out of Montreal or something like that. So,
yeah.
That's the problem, is that you don't need Ullmark on this team in order to make this work.
Right. But I think the Bruins, in my opinion, for at least this year, would be smart to have both of these guys there.
Correct.
Because if one guy is not playing well, especially in the playoffs, well, then you got the other guy to get it going. But I do believe that when the Bruins get to the offseason, it seems like it's all but a done deal that Swayman's going to get a long-term extension from the Bruins, despite how things went down in arbitration over the summer. I think that they've made it clear that Swayman is their guy, long-term. And I do think that they are going to look to try to move Ullmark. And I think that the Devils, unless, they get Markstrom or somebody else for more of a long-term solution, I wouldn't be surprised if a team like the Devils gets involved and starts talking to Boston. They have a good relationship after the Pavel Zacha for Eric Holla deal, which honestly has kind of worked out for both teams. Zacha's a top 6 guy. Has a nice shot there from Lucer Ryan, and he scores. What a shot there through traffic, and Florida regains the lead. It's 3-2.
Jeez.
That was a nice shot.
That was very quick. Also not great if you're in New Jersey now. 3 goals on 14 shots, not ideal.
It's about what you expect.
Interesting. Sure. Also, to finish off,
New Jersey, like as a fan, with the
Yes.
goaltending the way it's been, it's almost like it's expected that that's going to happen. That was just, I think that Schmidt probably should have gotten it. Just from that far out, it just looked like he misread it.
Trouble getting, they get it out. Like, I'm catching up here in a second here just to see what happened. But is he a fourth liner, Lucer Ryan?
I believe he
Third,
is actually.
bottom
So
six?
that's not what you want to see.
Has he? Oh, it was a really good cut in. That's what it was. Such a good cut in by Lucer Ryan, man. Nice play.
Very
That was
sharp.
good. That was a great goal. Yeah, very sharp goal there.
Sure. So now the Devils right back to being down by a goal here. Is now let's see if they can kind of reset after giving up that goal from Lucer Ryan, as they are back down by 1, 3-2 Florida right now with 6:52 and ticking to go in this second period, which I think overall has just been a pretty decent game from both sides.
Yeah, and again, don't let this phase you for New Jersey, right? Like, you're still in this, right? Like, you're down 1 already. Doesn't mean you can't get back in this. And, it's still a game. Also, Lucer Ryan is a massive human being. He looks like a giant. He looks like a giant.
Oh, yeah. And also, he just doesn't have any shot there. That shot hit off the post and didn't go in. I don't know how that didn't happen. We also do have an injury. And, oh, my goodness, one of the refs is down and not getting up.
Oh, no.
The referee is hurt. But just before that, I hate to say this, but just before that, Florida shot hit both posts and didn't go in. The Panthers were nearly able to double the lead there, but we got an injured ref of all things here.
Is he up at least, or?
No, he's down on all fours.
What?
And we have a trainer from both teams that's on the ice right now checking on this referee.
Oh, no.
So this is
what happened to him? Like, did he get hit with a puck?
I think what happened was that there was a shot right before it that I think hit the post and deflected.
Oh, it hit the ref. Oh, it hit him in the chest. Oh, no.
Well, he's getting up slowly here, and it looks like he's on one knee. Now he's back up to his feet. He's talking with the Devils trainer.
Man.
He's skating on his own, and it did hit him in the chest. I think he's going to keep going.
That's dangerous, man. That's so dangerous if you don't.
How do refs not have pads?
You need to. You need to, man. Even if it's just super thin, just like have something.
I agree.
Oh, I agree. Man.
I don't know. Why would they not have pads?
Okay. The amount of people in the stands who have their phones out right now is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Like, what are we doing here? Oh, it's gotten so much. Like, everybody's got to get their phone out. Everybody's got to take a picture of the possible dead referee on the ice. Like,
I know. That's a joke.
Honestly.
That's a joke. That
it's so
people
stupid
want to do that. I don't get the reasoning behind that.
Like, for me, like, if I don't know, I don't know about you, but I don't go to a lot of NHL games. I go maybe once or twice a year, but I'm there to watch the game. I'm there to enjoy the experience.
Right.
And whatever, I'll have my phone out a couple of times, whatever. Like, I'm human, but I'm there to enjoy the game. Screw what other people think about my photos that I post on social media. Like, I'm the one that's going to enjoy it.
Right. Amen.
Yeah.
Amen to that. Amen to that.
Yeah. That just made me sound so old.
You sound so old. The future is now, old man.
Yeah. Hey, my birthday is coming up too, so I expect a nice present.
When's your birthday?
March 19th.
Nice. Maybe we should. I think we should do a live watch along for that day. Maybe the Flames are playing that day.
What day of the week is that? Tuesday. I cannot because I'll be going out for dinner that night.
That's fair. That's understandable.
I'll be celebrating, but I'm good to do it whenever. Maybe the night after.
Well, we'll all spam you on social media, and it'll be fine.
I'm turning my phone.
I've never seen someone so pissed at looking at a tablet. Nico Hischier is cussing like mad on the bench, looking at a tablet.
Well, I wonder what happened. Like, maybe did a play not go well? Like, what's he using?
I don't know at this point, man. I don't know what they see on those damn things.
Also, going back to Jared's comment from earlier, have you seen McDavid live at all?
I've seen him twice. He scored, and he got 0 points in both games.
Of course.
Which is really funny.
It is. That's rare.
Twice plays the Devils and does nothing.
That's so rare. That's so funny.
Like even Draisaitl did things, not McDavid. I was like, wow, McDavid must suck. He must really be overrated.
I watched him in the early days when he was on Erie, when he played for Erie.
Oh, the Erie Otters, right?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
right.
so help me understand something. There's obviously an Erie, Pennsylvania. This is not the same Erie, right?
No, it is. It is. Yeah, it's in the U.S. Yep.
So
Or I
there's
think,
there's a
hold on.
junior team that plays in the OHL. What is it? The OHL
It's the OHL. Yep.
that plays in Erie, Pennsylvania. That's what I'm
Yeah,
understanding.
it's in Erie, Pennsylvania. Yep.
That's crazy.
Oh yeah, I'm pulling up the map
That's
real
so
quick.
random. Think about that. Think about a small town like Erie, Pennsylvania, right?
Yep.
Was home to arguably the greatest player of this generation in hockey.
Oh yeah.
And
You
not
know
a
what's
damn person
crazy?
knew about it.
I think what's crazy is you have all of these OHL teams like the London Knights, Windsor Spitfire, the what else? North Bay, like
North Bay
whatever, and
Battalion.
then around Italian, Guelph, Sarnia, blah blah blah. List goes on. Everybody's decently close, and you're a couple like hours away from each other. But like Erie is literally on the other side of the lake. Like the town and where they play in is on the other
It's
side of
far
the lake.
away from all of these teams.
Right. So for perspective here, okay, let's just use I'm going to use Guelph, which is about an hour from Toronto. Okay.
Okay.
You are looking at that's actually not that bad. It's still a 3-hour drive. That's not bad. But still, like for a team like Windsor, okay, let's
Yep.
take Windsor. That would be pretty bad too. Or even
Right.
Sault Ste. Marie would be worse. That's still a 4-hour trek.
Sault Ste. Marie would be rough.
I mean, and they would probably only go there once a year. Sault Ste. Marie to Erie is 10 hours.
Oh my god, they
That is
definitely
rough.
like. Do you think junior teams can afford their team to fly?
You think they could because the players
I
aren't
don't
getting paid.
know. Oh, nice to hear, Tyler. Never mind. That was funny. I was about to be like,
Tyler
Toffoli. No, what happened was John Marino threw the puck in, and Toffoli had a step. And then he stopped because they called him offsides. He was like all alone, breakaway, going to take a shot, and then he just stopped. It was really funny.
It was the tone, like
You got to
it was like
see it. I don't know if you saw it, but you got to see it. It's the funny. It's like hilarious. He gets it and he's like, "Nah, screw it. I can't.
I can't do this anymore."
I can't do this anymore."
Any recent news on Lindholm rumors, other than the fact that Jake Gensel possible swaps could take place in a deal? I don't think we've heard much yet.
Do we have oh no, we don't have an injury. I thought there was. Okay. Opportunity here for Lucer Ryan, but he's overskated his own pass. I don't know how you do that. Now, nice drop here to Nico Hischier. Drop pass now to Bratt with a shot, and that one is fought off and out of play. And then, both teams pushing and shoving in the right corner. But looks like cooler heads prevail here. Also, Kyle, looks like Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier are now on the same line.
Okay. Switching it up a little bit. I like it. Nice.
It looks like it's a line of Bratt, Hughes, and Hischier. Interesting.
So not Toffoli. Interesting. I did see the Toffoli one.
It looks like Toffoli's on a second line now. Great.
Also, Blues lead the Islanders 1-0 thanks to a goal by Alexei Torpachenko, former Guelph Storm, by the way.
What on earth is that name?
Torpachenko.
Holy smokes. Is that a name? Is
that
a hockey name or what?
I know, right? I'll come back to Danel's comment in a second.
Oh,
I just want to catch
the ref that got hit, by the way, Kyle, is now back on the ice.
Hey, love it. Predators
currently
lead 1-0.
moron.
Of course, the Predators lead the Canadiens right now. That's just fantastic. Penguins lead 3-2 now on a goal by Ricard Raquel as well. And Danelle asked between us, who do you think won the trade between the Golden Knights and the Capitals tonight?
Nobody. Nobody.
Nobody?
I don't know what what do you want me to say? Okay, let's put it this way.
What do you mean? Who do you think won?
Let me I'll be serious. I'm sorry. I was trying to be funny there. No. I think both teams did because Vegas gets some good depth scoring and physicality from Anthony Mantha. And then Washington, who clearly is probably assuming that they're not going to make the playoffs and at some point has to start really considering maybe looking for young players, at least get some draft picks that they can use.
Yeah, something, right? Like to get a second rounder. I mean,
something. Yeah, exactly. So it's something.
that makes me feel better about being a Flames fan in the Chris Tanev deal, knowing that Mantha went for a second and fourth.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, Mantha's probably better than Chris Tanev.
Yeah, and also it's two different positions too.
It is true. That's a good
Mantha's
point.
a forward, Tanev's a center.
Yeah, good point.
Unless we're talking about Brandon Tanev.
Then that's a different story.
And that's certainly a different story. Second period shots in this period, 13-8 in favor of the Devils. Lucer Ryan has the most recent goal for Florida. That gave them the 1-goal lead back. As this puck goes down, it'll be an icing against Florida. 3:20 to go in this second period here. And, it's you got to be frustrated if you're the Devils because you had just tied it and then moments later you let Lucer Ryan score. But that was one of those classic moments, Kyle, for the Devils this season where it was goaltending did not step up and make a save when they needed to.
It was at the time when they scored. It was 3 goals on 14 shots, or 15 shots, I think, at the time.
Right.
So again, it's showing face yet again, right? And you just wonder, like, it just makes you wonder. 20 games ago, if they made that Markstrom deal, that was basically a done deal. If it went through, where would you be at because of the better goaltending?
I don't think Lindy Ruff would have been fired. I think he'd probably still be here.
I agree.
But again, I don't get the reasoning behind. Like, it just kind of feels more that you can't blame Tom Fitzgerald because it pretty much looked like he had a deal done, and then the ownership of the Flames, to an extent, I guess, understandably decided to stop it because of salary retention. Yet for some reason they're fine retaining salary on Tanev.
Craig Conroy, man. Craig Conroy,
man. On Conroy, though, are we going to put blame on Conroy? It sounded like it was the ownership, not Conroy, that nixed it.
Oh no, it's the owner. Yeah, no, it's true. It's the ownership. Yeah,
so
it's the ownership who's taking control.
Sometimes owners just got to butt out.
They're not letting him do his job, right? And if this is the case too with Hanifin, like, they're not letting him do his job.
Oh yeah, and look, I've spoken not just to you, but I've spoken to a handful of Flames fans, and a lot of them are of the same feeling of like, this is ridiculous. We had a deal done, should have gotten it done, and instead our ownership decided to meddle with it all and end it when all they've been trying to do is get rid of all of our assets so that we can get something here.
Yeah, and they were like
pissed.
Yes, and I don't blame him at all. I think he deserves to be pissed, right? But be pissed at the right person. That's the thing.
Well,
right?
He is.
He's pissed at the right person. You shouldn't be pissed at management. You should be pissed at the owner who basically vetoed the deal, right? And
did he say it was all because pissed at management?
Yes, basically.
I don't remember him. I thought he just said, "Oh, the people upstairs,"
or maybe that too. But anyway, like,
but that could be construed as like he's going after the ownership.
I'm sure everything's fine now, but it's at the same time, it's like you have to understand on Markstrom's side of things that he has a family, right? Yeah. And for all this stuff in the air, like, well, what if my kid's in school right now? Like, we don't know what we're doing here now all of a sudden. Like, 4 days to go. Like, you don't know what's happening, right? You can't get a clear answer.
Yeah. And this is why, like, you could see more likely a Markstrom deal happening in the offseason because by that time, even if you talk about it from a family perspective, look, his kids are not going to be in school. If you do it early enough in the offseason, in the summer, it gives Markstrom and his family plenty of time to get settled in New Jersey or wherever he ends up going if he does go. And kind of like, and from, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of the way I look at it.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, just get it. Like, take your time this offseason and just kind of let it happen, right?
For sure. For sure.
Yeah, you got lots of time to do it.
Absolutely. 55 seconds to go here in this second period. Florida up 3-2 here on the Devils. See if either team can do something here late to grab some momentum going into that final frame. As Florida will chip it out of the zone here. Reinhart, He'll chip it down into the Devils' zone here with 38 seconds. Siegenthaler now plays it for New Jersey off the backboards to Marino. Back to Siegenthaler. He'll now chip it up to Erik Haula. Haula coming up the left side, and he'll lightly dump it into the left corner of the Panthers zone with 25 seconds to go in the period. Panthers trying to get it out of the zone. They'll slow it up here as Nick Cousins gets it now back to his teammate, and Eric Ekblad will slow it up for Florida with 15 seconds to go as they dump it in to the zone here, as it looks like, we actually do get an icing here against Florida. So maybe one last opportunity here for the Devils if they can win a faceoff here. And Devils, I think I also saw they've been kind of dominating in terms of the faceoff dot tonight. So that's one positive, because winning your faceoffs is pretty vitally important in terms of just setting up your opportunities. Also, it looks like Barkov was shaken up. He's holding his wrist on the bench after blocking a Kevin Ball shot moments ago. Maybe something to keep our eye on here.
He's fine.
Face-off actually is at center ice. I think the refs may have made a mistake. So I think they just decided to do that. Panthers win the face-off, dump it into the Devils zone. Akira Schmid now over to Siegenthaler. Tierney will control it, and he'll let the clock run out. And that'll do it for the second period of play. So both teams what the heck? Okay, that just happened. No, I was going to say the goaltender for Florida just ran into one of his own teammates. I think they're fine. Anyway, both teams get a goal in that second period. Timo Meier scored for New Jersey. That tied it up at 2. But then moments after that, Lucer Ryan scored and got a goal back to give the Panthers the 1-0 lead the 1-goal lead that they had at the beginning of this period going into this third. So, Kyle, I think it's fair to say we've had a pretty good game so far through 40 minutes.
Yeah, it'll come down to the wire here, unless you just can't take yourself out of it. You're still fairly in this, right, against clearly one of the best teams in the NHL right now, and we still have a good third period on our hands coming up.
Absolutely. And we are going to have a lot to talk about. We're going to talk more about the trade deadline, because there's a lot of things even to discuss, including someone that is currently on the New Jersey Devils, who may very well be by the end of this week, may be on his way to another team.
Before we go, little tidbits here as well too from David Pagnotta mentions that the Islanders have now made Olivier Wahlstrom available as a trade asset.
Wahlstrom,
Olivier Wahlstrom has been made available from the New York Islanders. And then the other one too is just a quote from Barry Trotz, which I just thought was kind of funny before we go into break. He just says the prices are ridiculous for what general managers are asking for players, for rentals, and all that. But I'm a rookie GM. I don't know a whole lot. So I just thought that was funny.
That's great. Gotta love Barry Trotz, right? Gotta love
Barry.
But we'll talk about all of that and more here in the second intermission report. But we're going to step aside for another moment to get another word from our sponsors. welcome everybody back here to our second intermission report of our game between the Florida Panthers and the New Jersey Devils. Kyle Manifold once again alongside Neil Villapiano. And after 40 minutes of play, we still have a pretty good game as the Panthers have a 3-2 lead going into the final 20 minutes of play. The Devils were down 2-0 before they fought their way back to tying the game up at 2. But then Lucer Ryan, right after the Devils tied it, was able to get one back and give the Devils, the Panthers, the current 3-2 lead that they have here after 40. So again, Kyle, I know we talked about it really quickly before we went to commercial break, but again, your overall thoughts from both teams through 40 minutes tonight.
Yeah, I think, just overall from me starting from the first, just kind of a surprising start from Florida. I didn't really expect it to be that quick right away and really felt like it was going to get away. Good for New Jersey to really keep themselves involved in this game when it could have gotten ugly. Just have to be aware now going into the third with Florida and, them being 27-1-4 after scoring first, they're going to be that team for a reason going into this third period as, they're going to look for the kill, right? And the Devils either have to maintain it or they have to step up and put their big boy pants on and try to take control of this third period. So, the Panthers aren't going to go away lightly, and they're not going to be the ones to sit back in the third, and they're going to try to be the ones to, just get that extra insurance goal and keep it out of reach for New Jersey.
For sure, and I think when you look at it from, you look at it from the Devils' perspective, this is, again, if you're really believing that you can still make a run and get into the playoffs, these are the type of games you got to have. Yes, you're playing Florida. Yes, that they're the best team in the league, but you're at home. And now you have a different voice behind the bench. Lindy Ruff just got fired. Now the pressure is really on the players. And you look at this third period and you say to yourself, we have had so many opportunities this year to get 2 big points in a game that we were right in. And we ended up just falling flat on our face and not competing and just letting the other team do what they want. We have to come out in this final 20 minutes, play with passion, play with energy, and find a way to get those goals because they've been able to beat Stolars. This is not like what we've seen from other guys before. This guy is very beatable to score on. You just got to keep getting, bodies in front, creating traffic. Both goals for the Devils involved guys being in front, whether it's their, Florida or their own players. But I think overall this has been a solid response after being down 2-0. But I want to see this team continue to push here in this final 20.
You got it. More news to present. Neil Villapiano has been scratched for Friday's stream due to trade-related reasons.
Wait, what?
Yeah, we're trading you, by the way.
What? I have a no-trade clause in my contract. I get a final say here.
I just saw like a tweet where it's like I had to tell my boss that I can't come in due to trade-related issues.
That's actually great.
So I just thought we'd let you know we're holding you out for Friday.
All right. It sucks. I don't know what to tell my family, but okay.
You're gonna have to waive your no trade clause. I'm sorry.
I don't have to do anything.
You'll have to put a 10-team list together.
10-team no trade list.
Yeah.
But actually, funny thing, Kyle, I don't think we talked about this. James Van Riemsdyk tonight is skating in his 1,000th career game.
Wow. So he played with
Philly. He grew up like 10 minutes from my house. Fun fact.
Jeez, no way.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I'm good friends with Trevor Van Riemsdyk. He was actually a coach of mine when I was a kid learning how to play hockey. Okay.
And he's on Washington.
Washington, I believe, yes.
Yeah, Washington.
And then their youngest brother, Tyler. I think it's Tyler. He's currently a coach here in Red Bank, New Jersey for the Red Bank Generals Pee-wee teams.
Cool. So, nice. So they're all involved, right?
They're all involved. Awesome. The Van Riemsdykes have they are hockey lore in the state of New Jersey for sure.
I grew up in high school with and our neighbors for the longest time were the Richies. So Nick and Brett Ritchie.
Ah, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
2 very likable players, I should add.
Brett was likable in high school. Nick apparently was a bully. That's what I heard. But then
I
whatever.
think I
You
was
get
looking
older.
more from like the NHL perspective, but I understand where you're coming.
Yeah. But whatever. You get older and you mature. So I
Mm.
don't know. Oh my
Well,
goodness.
Kyle, I was going to ask you really quickly. Do you feel like the
Yes.
Devils also have had a lot of bad puck luck in this game? Do you feel like that they should have more than what they have right now, or no?
I think they've had. I don't know if it's bad puck luck. I remember the one chance early on in the second where they just, I don't know who it was, had a chance of a rebound in front of the net where they just didn't get enough stick on it, and didn't get a chance to really get enough oomph on it to put it in the back of the net. So I don't know. I think they've had some decent chances tonight. I don't think it's been because of bad quality chances. Like for a lot of the times, like they've had scrambles in front of the net here, and it sometimes just matters like where the puck is. So you can call, if you want to call that puck luck, then so be it. But in a lot of those scrambles, you just don't know where the puck's going to end up sometimes. So
Yeah.
no, I mean they've had some quality chances tonight, and I think they definitely had their chances. But yeah, no, I think it's been maybe you can argue it's a mix of both, but no, I haven't really seen it that way.
All right, fair enough. I think if you've been watching the Devils, I think that there has been of late, just in a handful of games, just some extreme bad puck luck. I mean, they put up 50 plus shots on Dostal of Anaheim on Friday and did not win the game. And that's, to me, that's a bit of bad puck luck. They've had some really good opportunities. They actually have the second highest expected goals rate in the NHL behind Edmonton, but in terms of conversion, average conversion, they average the second lowest 4 goals percentage in the league. So there's a massive difference between what they're expected to get
Yeah.
and what they've actually gotten overall.
Jeez. That tells you the season too, right there, on top of not only just the goaltender situation, but just kind of, where else the season has gone for this team.
Right.
Maybe Mr. White Rock Dylan can fill us in. Well, maybe it's a good time to say that Friday, we will be live for trade deadline day on Friday. Myself and Neil will be on from 10 to 12:30. I'm going to force Dylan, and he's going to do it anyway, regardless, because he said he would. He'll be on from 12:30 to 1:30, and then we're going to get our guys from the Habs Culture podcast who've been kind enough to cover the last hour and a half of our stream. We'll be live for 5 hours that day, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. with just a variety of different hosts that day, kicking off with myself and Neil beginning at 10 a.m. Eastern on Friday.
That's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that.
I can't wait. I can't wait to wake up in the morning. I feel like what's going to be nice is that there's probably going to be a lot that's going to happen Thursday night. We'll wake up, we'll get some stuff going, and then we'll see what follows suit.
Right. And then we'll get the bombshell stuff in the afternoon when we're not there.
That's okay. So that's what's going to happen. But Dylan will be made available for Friday because I'm going to force him to.
And he is very excited to be a part of it for sure.
So also tidbit on Dylan, he's doing okay. He's had a rough couple of days because he did have his root canal surgery on Wednesday or Thursday last week. Apparently, the freezing didn't work on his jaw.
Oh, no.
And after they froze his jaw, they were like, "Oh, did you feel that?" And he's like, "Yes, I could feel the drilling happening." So he felt everything that happened, and he's going through it right now. It was a tough weekend for him. So yeah, not the prettiest, but anyway, he's fine.
Right. Well, we hope that the pain will subside over time. That's the thing we're hoping for.
I mean, he's talking, so
there's that, right? There's certainly that. But we are.
I just can't imagine that, man. Like that's my god, just to hear and feel everything that happens during that.
I've had a few experiences where it wore off a little bit, and I felt like a poke. But when you first feel it, it is a nightmare. It is a nightmare feeling.
Have you had your wisdom teeth taken out?
Yeah, when I was a kid.
Okay, yeah, I had mine when I was 13 or 14, but yeah, it sucked.
Fair enough. So kind of going back, we just talked about the trade deadline. Kyle, there is one guy on the Devils that has been the subject of potential trades trade talks over the last couple of days, more or less maybe like the last week. And that's Tyler Toffoli, who the Devils just acquired from your Calgary Flames in the offseason for Yegor Sharangovich, and also a mid-round pick. Sharangovich has blossomed a lot in Calgary in his first year, has looked really, really good in a top 6 role, which doesn't surprise me. I feel like he really needed that type of opportunity. He probably wasn't going to get it in New Jersey, or maybe the Devils just didn't feel that he could play in their top 6, whatever the case may be. They acquired Tyler Toffoli, who had, a career year last year in goals, and he's on his way to yet another 30-goal season this year. And maybe if he could get on a little bit of a hot streak moving forward, he could very well, break his own career high this year. And with the Devils obviously on the outside looking in, and it's not certain at all that they are going to end up in the playoffs, even if they can get things going here, that Toffoli could very well be involved in being traded from New Jersey to a playoff/cup contender. Now, what we have heard, and Tom Fitzgerald spoke about it today, is that the Devils are not shopping Tyler Toffoli. As a matter of fact, Tom Fitzgerald and the Devils want to keep Toffoli beyond this year, that they want to make it happen. Apparently, according to Fitzgerald, they had a conversation in LA on Sunday. It was a good conversation. They've had a lot of good ones with Pat Brisson, who is Toffoli's agent. But the issue that they're having is not money, it's the term. So that tells me personally, I think we're looking at something like the Devils want to do a 3 or 4 year deal. Toffoli wants to do a 4 or 5, maybe a 6-year deal, maybe. Which I get it in a way. If you're Toffoli, you want to try to maybe cash in on the last 2 years that you've played where you have done really well. Who knows what Toffoli honestly wants? It seems like that he has enjoyed his time in New Jersey despite how things have gone. His dad, even in an interview with NJ.com prior to the beginning of this year, said that he really, Toffoli's, goal is to be in New Jersey and stay here moving forward. So really quickly here, what are your thoughts and what do you see ending up happening by the end of this week with Toffoli and the Devils?
Yeah, I don't foresee getting him 5 or 6 years, right? Because he's how old now?
He's going to be 32 very soon.
Okay, so he's only going to be 32. Wow, I thought he was older than that.
Nope.
Huh. Okay, so good for him. Hey, I mean, okay, maybe in that case it might change things a little bit. Yeah, he's only getting paid 4.2, which that was from his last contract. He'll probably, with the money, I imagine it's gonna be anywhere between 5, 6, give or take. Maybe, right? Maybe around the 6. But yeah, I think the problem with this is that he's in his prime right now. Even last year too, he was in his peak, right? When he was winning the cup, he's been a great player. And for Toffoli, you can definitely see him having 3 or 4 really good years, right? It's the latter half that you might have an issue with when he becomes 35, 36, 37, right? That's where you're kind of okay, well, you don't want a contract becoming that bad, right? So it might be even safer on the Devils side for management to say, look, we're more than happy to do a 4-year deal with you, right? And it's not long, right? When the 4 years comes up, if you still want to keep him, there's no reason why you can't go back to the table and just say, okay, let's re-up him for another year or 2 because he's been doing so well, right?
Right.
And if it goes the other way and he hasn't been having, 2 good years, for example, then he can come back out and you can get a good asset for him in exchange and send him to a cup contender.
It's going to be an interesting thing. I think that Toffoli's fate is going to be based on what happens for the rest of tonight and also what may happen on Thursday against the Blues. Again, Devils' next 3 games after tonight: Thursday night at home against the Blues. That game will be on ESPN. Then the Devils will be at home against the Hurricanes, 12:30 p.m. start on Saturday. That game will be on ABC. And then the Devils, starting next week, will take on the Rangers at Madison Square Garden on Monday. So obviously the schedule does not get any easier for New Jersey in terms of trying to get points and get back into a playoff spot. But I think for Toffoli, I've also said this. I think it's going to be hard to replace a 30-goal scorer, and who's going to be those guys that are able to get goals. As now Jack Hughes comes in with a breakaway, and he hit the post. Oh, he was able to beat the goaltender, but he rang it off the top post. I can't believe it.
Okay, maybe there's a little bit of puck luck. Maybe there's a little puck luck.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. But finishing up about Toffoli, I think also the Devils lack some veteran presence and championship experience in their locker room. And that would kind of be one of those guys that it would suck to lose him because of that. As now a scramble in front of the net, and the net gets dislodged, but Schmid was able to deny the Panthers of a chance to double the lead there. But I think overall, and I said this to you before, that my gut tells me that the Devils are not going to trade Toffoli, and I do believe that they are going to find a way to get a deal done. However, if the Devils do get the right deal, let's say they get a first-round pick, maybe they get multiple picks that they can use in a deal to get maybe a top-flight goaltender in the offseason, then I get why you make that move. I also look at it this way. If you do trade Tyler Toffoli, the message that is sent then to the rest of the team is that it's not going to happen this year. Like, we're not going to make the playoffs. It's over.
Right.
And, we'll see. Tom Fitzgerald also said he's in the market for a goaltender. That doesn't mean he's going to get one by the
right
deadline,
away. Yeah.
We'll see. So, but I just I'm curious to know what ends up being the case with Toffoli, because I think he does fit this team well, and I think he
won't be traded. He won't be traded by the deadline. He won't.
Yeah. I just don't think the Devils are going to get a good enough deal that's going to make the Devils feel like, would we rather just trade Toffoli, get some picks, and then go from there? Or do we feel that Toffoli can be a part of this core? And in the way that Fitzgerald described is that he feels that Toffoli should be a part of this team moving forward in terms of trying to win.
Yeah, he's certainly not the reason why this team hasn't been up to par this year. Right? We know where the glaring issues are with the Devils here. Right? It's what you mentioned earlier with the goals, right? With the comparison with the Oilers. What was it? The goals, what was the one that you made earlier when you compared it to the Oilers, like in goal production?
Oh, they have the second highest expected goals rate in the NHL.
That one, the expected goals rate. Yeah. So there's the expected goals rate and your goaltending, right? Like, those are two very glaring issues. And yeah, I mean, I really think, again, this is speaking for overall this year. I'm going to look really far back into the offseason, and I want your take on it. I think this really hurt this team when Severson and Graves when cashed in.
Yeah. I think maybe Severson really more than Graves, because Graves has regressed hard in Pittsburgh.
I say just both, in general, both leaving.
In general, for sure.
Yeah, when they both left, that hurt this team a lot.
Because there was no plan to replace them.
Right.
They didn't go out and get a veteran. They didn't go out and get another veteran defenseman or two that would fit that similar role. If they did, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, they wanted to go with young defensemen and inexperienced guys, and look what has happened at times.
Exactly. Luke Hughes, Simone Nemec, list goes
Kevin
on,
Ball.
right? Kevin Ball, that's the thing. So you need serviceable guys back there. Brendan Smith, I mean, you need a serviceable guy back there who's a top 4 guy.
No question. No question about it. And so I think it's going to be really interesting. I think the Devils are going to be one of those interesting teams at the deadline, because they could easily go either way. I don't think they go to the deadline and nothing happens. I just don't think that they don't do anything.
What have they been linked to, though, outside of Jacob Markstrom?
Well, they've been before, obviously, Tampa being the clear favorite for Noah Hannafin. That was a guy. Linus Ullmark, now his name has come up. That's about it. So,
right.
In terms of they're also looking for a defenseman, but I've heard nothing about just guys that they might actually be into. Like a guy like Sealer would be, in my opinion, a nice pickup, but also it's are the Flyers really going to trade him within the division?
No, you wouldn't want
And
to anyway. No, for a
no, and it
rival,
will
no,
cost the
no way.
Devils more than other teams because they're in the division.
Right.
So
Um, so here's also something funny on the side of it that I'm just getting here. Um, where the Jets play at the Canada Life Center, their network that like helps run the concessions and everything there is
sure.
completely out, and
Wow.
everyone's pissed there. Like no, like you have to pay cash. Like everyone's standing there, like what's going on here?
What is
Like
going on
there's
in Winnipeg again? What the hell?
there's so many people pissed, man. Like
Are we going to lose the Jets again?
they went cashless too.
That's crazy.
So their stands, their concession stands that went cashless, who use debit and credit systems only,
Right?
their network's now down and they can't use their systems.
That's
so
that's
so you
really
can't buy
ridiculous.
anything because they're not taking cash.
And people don't use cash very much anymore.
No, I rarely have it in my wallet.
I don't have it, period.
I rarely
And
do.
like,
But still, it's like if you're
dude,
going to a hockey game, like that's where I might take out $20 or something like that. And that'll
but
get me a soda.
you know what sucks though is that we're hearing all this, and then you look at the Winnipeg Jets, like they could do something in the playoffs.
There's first place in the Central.
Like what?
I don't get it.
Like they have a good team.
The problem, and you know what the thing is, though, is the problem is this. Take New Jersey and Winnipeg as an example. Even I'm taking Toronto here because this is where I'm from, right? You're getting guys. I'm going to use Toronto just because it's a good example. You can have guys anywhere around that area. If you're an hour outside of Toronto, if you're 2 hours outside of Toronto, people will make the trek to go in to watch the Leafs,
They
right?
will.
The problem in Winnipeg is that there is no outside regions or cities, other cities or towns that people travel into. It's just Winnipeg.
It is just
Right?
Winnipeg.
And maybe small little towns here and there, but it's just Winnipeg and then
Mhm.
nothing.
And then nothing exactly. And that's the problem, especially like you don't want to, this is not a disrespect, but Winnipeg is a small market. That's
It
why it
is.
didn't, that's one of the problems. Look, that was a big problem the first time of why it ended up not working out and why Winnipeg moved to Arizona. Now, what's really funny is that ironically now you have both of those franchises who are having major issues in terms
Right.
of, the stability of being where they've been this whole time. And I think that it's like, it's one of those interesting things where it's like, okay, well, then maybe the NHL, if they feel that they need to move one or two of these teams, then maybe they don't have to do expansion like they've been talking about. Maybe they just move a
Exactly.
team to Houston that they've been trying to do or something like that. But, it just.
If you look at a map and you look at Winnipeg, like if you look at I'm taking Toronto again as an example, you can recognize like other cities and other towns across, right? You go to Winnipeg, I'm just kind of like, I've never heard of any of these towns before. Like,
Yeah.
these are nothing places, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's just my 2 cents on it, but
It's going to be interesting. I don't think anything dramatic is going to happen anytime soon, but Nick Cousins with his second goal of the night on a deflection in front, and it's 4-2 Panthers as they have regained the 2-goal lead.
and that could be the insurance, or folks.
I think that might be the game right there. I hate to point it out, but to go back like that, I mean, that's tough. Good face-off win there by Florida. Gustav Forsling gets it top of the point. He just kind of throws it on net, and I don't know how. You got to slow it down more because I don't know how Cousins got a stick on this. We'll see it again on the
Yep.
replay. His stick was high, but doesn't look like it was high enough to be high sticking. Just a really nice deflection from Gustav Forsling. And yeah, by Nick Cousins. And now the Panthers are back up by 2. So the Devils grinding, all that work has now fallen flat as they are back down by 2 again here in the third. And so, yeah, that kind of feels like the dagger, honestly.
Does that not feel like, I know there's probably a lot of points where you can look back on and feel like being the dagger of the year, but, the least, like with 20 games to go now, right? Like this has to feel like another massive dagger for this team.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like where we're at this season, where it just feels like that every loss feels like a dagger in the heart. I think the one that truly put it to bed was the loss to Anaheim in the way that it
I
happened.
agree.
I
Me
think
too.
that's the one that, because I looked at it like this. If Jack Hughes had scored there, right? And we go to overtime, I feel like the Devils would have ended up winning the game. And so that would have
Okay.
given them energy. That would have given them some, some
Light.
positivity going into the game against LA, because then they would say, okay, now we have a great chance to sweep this road trip and get very much right into only 2 or 3 points out of a playoff spot, and we're good. Instead, they lose that game, and then they get shellacked by LA. Now their coach got fired, and they fought back here against the best team in the NHL after being down 2-0. And they have slowly, I would say slowly, because this was not an onslaught that Florida did this, they slowly let the Panthers regain the 2-goal lead. And so now, with 13 and a half minutes to go, even though, again, 2-goal deficit is not insurmountable, with the way that this season is gone and a lot of these games have gone, it very much feels insurmountable.
And we talked about it too beforehand with the schedule coming up. It just doesn't help that you have Carolina and the Rangers on your doorstep, outside of St. Louis on Thursday, right? It doesn't help. Yeah. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, that was that goal by Nick Cousins, his second of the game, sixth of the year, or fifth of the year, certainly feels like the dagger in terms of this. So what's on tap here, Kyle, as they're showing this graphic on the screen here? 20 games remaining, 9 games at home, 11 on the road. You have 8 games against Metro Division teams, 4 at home, 4 on the road. And 11 of your final 20 games are against teams that are in a playoff position.
Oh, man. So half.
So that it would take a Herculean effort from this team to get into the playoffs at this point. It just doesn't. It feels like that the losses are just piling up. Somebody said that the Devils, they felt like they had to go like 16-5 in their last 21, which, with the way that this season is gone, it feels like that they're not even going to come close to doing that. Sometimes it does. This team looks like a team that kind of is checked out. That energy-wise and just they feel very much like it's too much.
All hope is lost,
and they're tired. I think I think at times, Kyle, I think this team is mentally tired. Like I'm not even ranting about this. It's just more like an evaluation of looking at the team and just saying, with all the stuff that has happened, so if he's back.
Yeah, David's back.
Meow.
What timing? He knew it too. Like,
of course. I think he's been here. Honestly, Kyle, I think he's been here the whole time. He just hasn't said anything until now.
That's okay. Still, but you can't also take any credit away too from how well Florida's played tonight, right? Like, they're 20. What's that record?
Florida's a very structured team. They weren't going to let the Devils coming back from down 2 affect them, and you saw how it all went down. Just in general, and I also just want to say this, Kyle. Where would this game be right now? Right now, if Jack Hughes had scored on that power play? Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. I can't say much.
The breakaway that he had at the beginning of this period, I meant. That's what I meant.
Yeah, no, I still think that, you obviously have it's a different mindset, right? But, this is still a Florida team that's battle tested.
Right.
Right? Like, again, the record shows that they're 27-1-4 for a reason, right? Like, they're just battle tested. They just know, right? Hence why it's one of the things you want to have going into the playoffs. And honestly, it's one of the teams in Florida that frankly doesn't need much in order to go into the playoffs this year, right? Like, I don't know if there's a team in the East, like, they're not going to lose to the Leafs. The Leafs are not even going to, if they happen to match up with them in the first round, taking Florida all day long, right? I don't know if there's a team in the East that can stack up to this team in terms of physicality, right?
Right.
These guys will stuff you in a locker room. Like, that's the type of thing, right? So it's amazing when you look at these two teams and how different they are, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, in terms of they're just, the thing with the Devils is that you just don't have any dogs on this team. You know what I mean? Like, not dogs in the sense of like a Matthew Tkachuk or Reinhart in the years that they're having, but just like dogs in the sense of like guys who just beat the crap out of you in the corner and beat you to every puck and beat you along the boards. Like, that's the difference really between these two teams, right? Like, they're just more sound on top of that as well. So, it's genuinely a really good team, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, after I'm being so nice because I'm making David blush, only thing I'm going to say is this. Look what happened to Boston last year, right? If Florida ends up winning the President's Trophy again, look what history has told us, right? So regular season and playoffs are different animals. And yes, you have to give credit where credit is due where what they did last year, but you can't take anything for granted, right? So if they get a matchup, if they look at this and they get a bad matchup in the first round or second round, whatever it may be, and the farther they go or however it shapes out, just got to watch, man. Sometimes you just run into a really hot team, and it doesn't take much, right? Because everything gets erased to zero come playoff time. And it just, we saw it last year too, like especially in the 7-game series with the Devils. It just gets tighter. Every play matters. Everything that you do, every second that happens on the ice, it matters, right?
Right.
So we've seen this story too many times over the past however many years where, President's Trophy winners first in the East, like whatever that was back in 2019, where I won't forget it because Calgary was the number 1 seed in their division, and the other 3 teams were number 1 seeds in their division, and they all lost in the first round, right? And a lot of people probably had them as cup favorites. So, as much as I am complimenting for the Panthers, and if I just sit here today, I'd probably take them to go to the final. Once you get in, you're in, man.
Right.
Like, it's anybody's game.
Yeah, no question. And I think I know Connor was asking this before. Aren't the Devils the youngest team? They're one of the top 5 youngest teams in the league, even now. So the reality is, from New Jersey's perspective, is that a lot of this year, in my opinion, has been about learning lessons.
Sure.
Not just for the players, but the GM, everybody. That this team, I think, has a longer way to go in terms of being at a level that Florida's at. That it's not like I don't want to say Florida doesn't have holes or weaknesses, but like where they play so cohesively as a unit, and just being able to have guys up and down the lineup provide offense and defense and getting good goaltending and things like that. The Devils at times look like a mess, look like everything is just like completely unraveled from the several years of building this team. And now you have to really take a long look in the mirror and say to yourself, what do the Devils need to do long term that's going to put them in a position that's going to be beneficial to them in terms of getting into the playoffs and then actually, doing a lot of damage in the playoffs?
Something is that you have the right pieces. I think some of the pieces are just in the wrong spots, right? And you might need to sub it out for goaltending and a more sound 1 through 4 lineup, when you're top 12, right? So the thing is, you have correct pieces in place, right? With Hughes and Toffoli up there who've had good years, right? I just think when you look at Florida, for example, again, like their defense, just the guys you can go down the list here. Brandon Montour, we saw what he did last year and how he's contributing this year. Forsling, Ekblad, Ekman Larson, who's having a fine.
Oh, somehow that puck got through and the Devils have gotten a goal. It's Colin Miller from the point. And the Devils get a goal back. It's 4-3.
It was very subtle.
Well,
that was the most subtle.
Very subtle. The goal itself. I was just going to say really quickly, Kyle. The way that this happened was that it went into the net and just came blasting out. Like it just went in and out. I thought he hit the post.
Speaking of in and out, David's out. He's got to go.
David's out. David's. I'm always bad juju. No, David, you can stay. It's fine.
It's all good. It's
Colin
funny.
Miller with his 4th of the year. And so the Devils, again, back down by 1 with 8.5 minutes to go here. So we'll see if the Devils can make a push here as that shot from Lindell deflects up and out of play.
So what happened here? Boom. Off the boards, wide. So it's your third line out there with Eric Holla.
Right.
I'm still behind. I haven't even seen the goal yet. Yeah, what the heck? I'm so far behind.
It's all good.
That's okay. All that matters is you're not, and everyone's happy.
Right. Unless I'm wrong, Jack and
Oh,
yeah, that's what I'm. Okay, he saw it.
that's so weird. Hit the bottom post and just came right back.
Hit like the bottom pad and just came ricocheting out.
Yeah, I'm glad the ref was right there, and he's like, "Yep, it's good."
Yeah, Connor says, unless I'm wrong, Jack and Luke Hughes are expected to lead. Way too much to ask when they're not even in their mid-20s. Yeah, I don't think Luke is necessarily expected to lead because he is a rookie, so that's not. But
very young.
Jack, what?
No, just very young. Continue.
They're just very young. And, right now Nico Hischier's the captain, but he's also still pretty young. He's not even 28 yet. A lot of your so-called leaders are incredibly young players,
Right.
that are still learning how to win in this league. And this is why with a young team like this, you need to complement them with veteran pieces that can contribute, that can be another voice in the locker room. You need to contribute that. You need to add guys that also can provide that energy on the ice as well. That comes from getting good goaltending or getting some lockdown defensemen, getting a guy like maybe McDermott who could go in there and just fight people to just stand up for these guys. That's kind of the way I look at it. But I say to myself that I don't want Devils fans to think that this season is going to then define the rest of this core's time together.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that they needed to be taught a lesson, and they were taught several this year. And so, I really just what I want at the end of the day, Kyle, even if they don't make the playoffs, is just compete in these last 20-ish games.
Just show up.
Show up, show some life, play like you mean it, and go from there. And who knows, maybe playing with not that pressure maybe would make it easier on this team to perform in general. But who knows at this point. But they did just get a goal back. So they're back down by 1 with 8+ minutes to go in this game. So it's still anybody's game at this point.
It is. Lots of time still left. And when you imagine if you still have time to pull the goalie, and I imagine that, if it stays this way, you will. What time now that it's going to be interesting to see what Travis Green does down the stretch here in the last 8 minutes, eh?
Right. Oh yeah.
What's his approach? What's his approach for these last 10 minutes?
Well, I guess we're gonna have to find out. I can't really give you an answer because again, I don't know what exactly his philosophy is. Good hustle there by Timo Meier, but it is an icing. He dove for that puck. Okay, we're talking about Florida before, Kyle. This season,
Yes.
The Panthers lead the NHL in wins 42, points 88, goals AG per game, assisted per game 2.4, goal differential plus 59, and shots per game 34. And they have 29 at this moment.
Man, it's impressive. It's impressive. But again, it won't matter for them. They know it too. It doesn't matter, right? With 20 games to go before the playoffs start. I imagine the next 10 games, they'll wrap up a playoff spot pretty soon.
Right. And I think that the Panthers are not, I think they're structured enough with Paul Maurice as their coach to not get fat and happy with how great this season has been for them, knowing that once the playoffs start, it's a clean slate.
Yes. It's all clean, man. Whatever you did during the season means nothing.
Right.
Right.
And
so
I was going to say, and I say that to Devils fans too. If the Devils, let's say, go on a run here in the last 20-ish games and make the playoffs, everything that has happened, all of the craziness, the frustrations and everything, at that point, doesn't matter. Now you're in the playoffs. Now anything can happen. And that's the beauty
I'm,
of this sport, especially in the playoffs. Literally anything can happen at any moment.
I'm curious with Florida how Bobrovsky's going to be come playoff time. They're going to have him healthy, ready to go, because it's going to be, for them, you would imagine, another run, right?
Yes.
So, I imagine like Stolarz and maybe Spencer Knight, depending on how soon they lock down a playoff spot and where they're at, they're going to rest him to make sure he's good to go a little bit, right? While still playing the odd couple of games.
Yep.
He's had a good bulk of it this year.
Yeah, no question. So we get an icing here against New Jersey with 6 minutes exactly to go in this one. Devils just cut the deficit to 1 about 2 minutes ago, thanks to Colin Miller's 4th goal of the year. By the way, Colin Miller also has the hardest shot of anybody in the NHL this year, like 100 and I think it's like 108 or 109.
Something like that. Yeah. Was he assisted on the goal or no?
Yes, Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt with assists on that one.
Is that 2 points for Hughes tonight, or
that? Yes, I believe he did get an assist. Yeah, he's got a goal and an assist tonight. So Jack Hughes has had a pretty good game. I think I find this interesting, Kyle, that Lindy Ruff, I think it was might have been before the Anaheim game or before the LA game, basically said that Jack Hughes is not 100% healthy. He's not 100% recovered from his injury. He's basically, to put it simply, he's playing hurt, which makes sense to me.
Right.
You're laughing at the comments, aren't you?
Yeah, I kind of looked at it over. I'm not.
Yeah, I figured.
I'm just brushing. I'm sorry. Do you want me to bring it up?
It's up to you, Mehdi. I'm not gonna get into that.
That's okay.
But I think
continue. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think bottom line is that for any team that I think for the Devils, it's just been everything that can go wrong has gone wrong. I think that's kind of the way that it's looked from this point. And I think like people say like, oh, well, making the playoffs, what does it matter? Like we're just going to get creamed in the first round. You don't know that. You don't
no idea.
You might go into the playoffs and you might go on a freaking run for all you know.
Right. Yeah, you have no idea until you got to just get in, right? And you don't know, right? Look at Columbus when they played Tampa Bay all those years ago.
Look at Florida when they played Boston last year.
Exactly. So, again, you can look at a lot of points this year too, and like this is like there's a lot of reasons. Like I'll take my Flames in this too, right? With other teams who've kind of bottomed out a little bit. Like you're like the problem is not losing to bad teams that I've noticed over the years. It's that you can't find any sort of consistency throughout the year that can help carry you in, right?
Yes.
Like you're going to lose to the odd bad team. Like all the bad teams that we see at the bottom, like Chicago, San Jose, and the list goes on, like you're going to have a bad game against one of those teams, and it just might not be your night, right? Doesn't mean it's the end of the world and you have to blow it up. It just happened to be their night. It's finding that form of consistency in a streak throughout portions of the year. You have to just win. A lot of the times when you see coaches and players in the locker room, like they look at days ahead, they look at 7 days ahead, they look at 10 days ahead, and they take that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we want to be 4-2 after this. After this month, we have to win this month, right? Like we have to, they set goals for themselves a little bit in that sense there. So it's finding that level of consistency throughout the year in different portions of the season in order to carry yourself in. And for the Devils here, you can really pinpoint the last couple of weeks that's really cost them.
Yeah,
I can't really think of anything early on in the year because they were in the conversation early on as a wild card spot.
They were, and Kyle, to me, the turning point of the season in terms of getting to where they are now was right after the Stadium Series. It was a big emotional win. It was a great night. It was everything. It was a perfect night if you were a Devils fan. Since that game, the Devils have gone 2-5-0. And we were all hoping that a win like that against a team that you were chasing in the standings, you would have thought that could be the thing that propels this team to getting on a run. And instead, they just dropped off the table. And it was and that to me is what truly led to Lindy's demise, was just instead of going up, the team just fell to the bottom.
Straight down. Yeah.
Straight down and hard. Not a slow decline down. They went boom.
Yeah.
That's it. So I don't know. But
do you think it's been, I was gonna say, like, do you think it's been like just these past couple weeks / month, or do you think it's a culmination of the entire year?
Culmination of the entire year for sure.
Okay.
Because there were times in the first month or two that you could let things pass and be like, all right, like, not the end of the world. Like, we're hurt. It's still fairly early in the season. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that once we got to December or late November, it was no longer that. It was more, all right, why are we
We're
still
in one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, we need to do something. And it just sucks because, Devils fans were asking for months for Fitzy to do something and Lindy to do something. And it felt like neither one of them was doing anything to get this team a jolt of energy. So, like, in a way, I blame Lindy and Fitz a lot for why the team is lacking in, like, showing that energy and passion, because you're not giving your team even a chance to, like, get that going.
And it's been evident, especially the glaring issue has been the goaltending this year. You're not helping your team by providing better goaltending, right? You can see it. And we've had a good chunk of, you guys have had a good time to see what they've done, during the duration of the first 40 games of the year. And your goaltending has been under subpar, right? Like, you need to do something to address it. And they didn't address it.
And now they're paying the price for it. And so I don't know if Tom Fitzgerald's going to do it. I think if he decides the Devils are going to be sellers at the deadline, don't worry about trying to get Markstrom or any goaltender. Just write it out with what you have and just go from there. So that's going to kind of the way I look at it. Is that shot deflected just wide of the goaltender as the Devils are in the zone? Siegenthaler with a shot that gets blocked. Mercer gets to the puck. Mercer on the right side tries to get it top of the point. Now Nico Hischier gets to it. A Florida player is currently covering his mouth. Not sure what happened. Nico Hischier falls down. No penalty. Marino with a shot. That puck is loose. Scramble in the crease. Hischier gets to it first. Devils with some good pressure here. Hischier tries to backhand it. It's intercepted by Nick Cousins, and he'll dump it out of the zone with 2:15 to go. Because now the Devils they certainly do have to start thinking about it. We'll keep our eye and see when the Devils do decide to pull Akira Schmid. Puck is in the right corner. Florida gets to it. Might be a 2-on-1 if they hurry, as now Verhaeghe tries to get it to Reinhart just out of his reach. Both teams in the left corner now. As that puck is intercepted, Florida with a shot by Verhaeghe, and he shot it high of the net. As now the Devils look to come the other way. They cannot. Holla tries to chip it out. He will. But now the Panthers come back into the zone here as Reinhart will stop it. 100 seconds to go in this one. As now Florida looking to just try to kill some clock here. Toffoli chips it up the boards to Hughes. Now over to the left side to Timo Meier. Akira Schmid has been pulled. Extra man on for the Devils. Toffoli to the right side. Top of the point to Luke Hughes. Hughes on the left side to Jack. Jack tries to make a feed. Intercepted by Ekman Larson. He chips it over. Tries to shoot at the empty net. It gets blocked. Another opportunity and a good play there by Luke Hughes to block it with his glove. 1:08 to go in this one. Jack Hughes drops it off to Brad. Brad up the center of the ice. Gives it to Jack. Gets around a defender. He chips it up the boards just out of the reach of Brad. Bennett can't get it out. Puck wraps around the boards to Toffoli on the right side. Now to Brad. Puck bounces up in the air. Hischier gets to it now, top of the point, 48 seconds to go. Gets it over, shot from Toffoli. That one is stopped, and Stolarz will dive and cover it with 45.2 to go.
Still time. Good chances, though.
Still a lot of time. By the way, Kulikov got rocked earlier off a nice hit from Eric Hall. I mean, Hall just came in guns blazing and just rocked him there. And earlier, Evan Rodriguez got clipped up high with a stick. Might have been Dawson Mercer unintentionally, and then Rodriguez went back and slashed Mercer in the leg. So clearly, Rodriguez was a bit pissed off there, understandably.
I can see why. Was he the one Was he bleeding or no?
Yeah, I don't know if he was bleeding, but he was certainly holding his mouth. Devils called
Okay.
a timeout. So Chris Taylor, who's kind of in charge at this point of the power play, is currently talking with Toffoli, Meier, Luke Hughes, and Nico Hischier, and Panthers also talking as well. So, I mean, look, I don't want to get ahead of myself in any way, shape, or form, but
We're not done yet. We're
it's
not
no.
done yet.
I was just going to say that this is one of those times where if the Devils are looking at it like if they really believe that they can go on a run and get into the playoffs, you got to find a way to score here and win this game. You have
Yep.
to. There's no other way to look at it. You have to find a way to get it done here. You have 45 seconds. It starts with winning this face-off, and you just got to get pucks to the net. You can't just be trying to set up a pretty shot. You got to fire the puck at net as much as possible. Face-off won here by the Devils. Jack Hughes will set it up. Hughes takes a shot, and that shot just goes wide. Matthew Tkachuk flips it high up into the air. Jack Hughes will go back and retrieve it with 32 seconds to go. Hughes makes he tried to make a long feed, but it actually ends up in the Panthers bench, nearly hitting two of the Panthers assistant coaches. So face-off here with 30.2 to go in this one. As now it looks like Schmid is going back into the net since this faceoff will be back in the Devil's zone.
And to quickly let everybody know, Grant will be doing Canucks Golden Knights Thursday night, and then we'll be live for 5 hours on Friday for our trade deadline stream.
So there you go. It's now the faceoff won here by the Devils. 25 seconds to go. Akira Schmid being pulled again as they flip it towards the empty net. The shot goes wide. Jack Hughes, he's being hounded, intercepted. Tkachuk lost it, falls down. Sharp angle try. Reinhart, 13 seconds to go. Devils are desperately looking to get it out of the zone. They can't. Ekblad with a drive. That gets blocked, but the rebound try goes in off of Sam Reinhart, and that will do it as the Panthers are going to come away with the win here in New Jersey and finish their road trip a perfect 3-0 as Sam Reinhart continuing his unreal season as he scores here to officially put the nail in the coffin in this one.
Panthers will now be 28-1-4 when scoring first.
It's very impressive, man. It is something to behold. It really is. Ekblad, who we were talking about earlier, actually gets an assist on this goal.
Oh, yeah, I see.
There you go. So there you go. It adds a point. It adds a point to the case that he is not a bust.
He's not a typical first overall pick kind of player, but he's not a bad player by any means.
Absolutely. So that will do it as the Florida Panthers spoil Travis Green's first game as the interim head coach of the Devils. Anthony Stolarz in his hometown, in his home state, gets the win. And the Panthers complete their 3-game road trip, a perfect 3-0, while the Devils have now dropped their third straight, as this is once again tied for their longest losing streak of the season, as they will look to regroup for Thursday's game at home against the St. Louis Blues.
Hold on one sec. My AirPods died.
Is there? No worries. We can still hear you loud and clear.
Shoot. I don't know what happened. Hold on one second. Oh, no. Good. Hold on.
Okay, so while Kyle's figuring that out, so again, at the end of the day, tough loss once again for the New Jersey Devils.
Okay,
great. Again, tough loss for the New Jersey Devils. Panthers continuing to play this great brand of hockey that they have. And for the Devils, to me, it just means one loss closer to being eliminated from the playoffs. So now the Devils are down to their final 20 games after this one, and we'll see. We'll see what happens moving forward. Tough loss again tonight. Another loss at home. Goaltending not there. Giving up 4 goals tonight was Akira Schmid. And that's just what it is. That's been the stream that's been the season for the Devils in a nutshell.
And the stream. Speaking of stream, Connor, just to let you know for your Canucks, there will be a Canucks live stream Thursday night at 10 o'clock Eastern. when the Canucks take on the Golden Knights. Grant will be doing that game. And then the next one will be our trade deadline live stream, which will be taking place at 10 a.m. Eastern. We'll let you guys know closer to, though, for any social updates with that.
For sure. And so, again, Kyle, appreciate hanging out with me for this
Anytime.
one. Thank you to everybody for hanging out with us tonight. Make sure to go follow us on social media at hockeypodnet. Also, go check out all the podcasts that we have here on the network, including the Devil's State of Mind podcast, which covers the aforementioned New Jersey Devils. Would really appreciate if you guys gave it a listen, and also a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you guys so much for hanging out with us tonight, and we will see you in the next live watch along. Once again, the final score here tonight, the Panthers with a 5-3 win in New Jersey over the New Jersey Devils. Everyone, continue to be the awesome people that you are. Have a great night. And as always, hockey fans, make sure to rock on.
Say something.